The century-old Indianapolis Motor Speedway has been called the world's greatest race course, and for good reason. This place is so steeped in history and tradition. The stars of NASCAR have been coming here for 16 years, and with the exception of that first year, 1994, this may be the most anticipated stock car race ever held here, and for very good reason. There are so many compelling stories to talk about. Now, one of the first topics we're going to address today is the weather and how that will impact the schedule. For more, let's go to the garage area and Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, it was a downpour just a couple of hours ago. Right now it seems to be misting a bit, but you saw the truck dryers on the track. They're hoping to get qualifying in this morning, just a little bit delayed. I just spoke to Robin Pemberton. He said 11:35 looks to be the time. The cars are being pushed through the garage right now, so hopefully we'll get that going. But the significance of qualifying here at Indianapolis is huge. 46 cars want to make the field. Why? For last place, 43rd, you're going to make about $140,000. It's a $9.5 million purse. So, of course, NASCAR wants to give everybody a fair shot. Now, Robin also told me the great thing about having the nationwide race over at ORP, they already adjusted the schedule over there so the double-duty drivers can go back and forth. That leaves an open window today, so they will put significance on getting qualifying in. Vince Welch?
Well, Jamie, after last year's race and the issues that we had with the tires and the tires not holding up because of the track and the new COT and so forth, tires have been a big story here at Indianapolis this weekend, as you would imagine. How the tires held up yesterday and how the track rubbered in was something we kept a close eye on. The tires handled the track perfectly. The track rubbered in nicely. Now what about the fact that we've had rain? How is the track going to react today? Well, Goodyear sent a representative here last week to just take a look at the track and how it had held up since they had been here testing back on June 16th. Even though they had tested 6 weeks prior, there was still rubber on the track from that June 16th test, despite the fact that we'd had a fair amount of rain here at Indianapolis between the two times. So the fact that we've had some rain here today should not be a big issue in regards to how the track has rubbered in and how much rubber will be on the track when they get out to qualify. Dave Burns?
And Vince, what if we have more rain today and qualifying gets completely washed out? Then NASCAR would start the cars based on the rule book, which means basically the owner points where they run right now. Who would that hurt? Who would that help? Well, it might hurt guys like Mark Martin and Juan Pablo Montoya, who have very fast race cars but aren't that far up in the points. Who might it help? It might help this car right here, Carl Edwards. Yesterday in final practice, or in second practice, his car was pretty slow. And so if he doesn't qualify well, he will start sixth based on owner points. But the big thing is, we don't really know, because when other cars were in race trim yesterday, Carl was in qualifying trim, and vice versa between the two practice sessions. And the crew's not sure if this car is fast or slow in qualifying, Doc.
Thank you very much, Dave. We welcome you inside our pit studio here overlooking the pagoda and some of the historic landmarks here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Glad to have you with us. I'm Jerry Punch, along with our panel of experts, Ray Evernham, Andy Petrie, and Dale Jarrett, all former NASCAR champions. And, folks, among these three guys, they have won 6 Brickyard 400s. Guys, you have lived these moments where weather causes you to have to sit and wait. How does it affect a driver or a team's focus and concentration?
Well, Doc, you've just got to ignore the weather and get your plan done. The only thing you can do is be ready to adjust tire pressure, tape, things like that, depending on if the sun comes out. You've got to get your car through inspection, stick to your plan, and then you've got to keep your guys focused. That's the problem. After the car's on the line, there's not a lot you can do, so you got to keep the guys together so that they know as soon as the track goes green that you're ready, your oil's warm, your tires are ready, and your driver's ready.
And the crew chief's job is to control as many of the conditions as possible to make a fast lap. The only problem is we can't control the weather. We have no control over that. So all we can do is react to it and hope. And just hope that you get good conditions when your car goes.
Yeah, and from the driver's standpoint, yeah, you kind of had your mindset that at 10 o'clock these things were going to start, but now that's changed. What you do is you just say, okay, if I had an early number, that's still going to be good. You know, the track's still going to be fast. These guys that drew a later number, probably outside of the top 15, have to realize it's going to heat up even more. Their chances of getting in a good lap have been hurt once again. But that's just one of the things. As you said, we can't control the weather. You just go about your business and get ready to qualify when they say it's ready.
So many variables involved in qualifying. Now, over the years, there have been 12 different pole sitters here. 9 of the 12 pole sitters are going to be in line today. today to try to get another pole. Of course, Jeff Gordon, the all-time winningest pole winner here, 3 poles, 4 wins. You know, and Jeff Gordon, the guy who's won the most poles and won the most races, said in the media this week that this is the most intimidating place to qualify. Let's talk about the lap you have to take in qualifying, how tough it is to get in the car and go down to turn 1.
Well, the toughest part is you haven't been in a race car since yesterday. You know, that was your last time practicing. I always found that this was so difficult because they expect you to go out and make your very best lap of the weekend without even being on the racetrack that day, and that was always tough. But, you know, you just go by your marks, you go trust the race car and go do what you can. But it's a difficult lap.
But you get 2.5 miles to warm up. You get a warm-up lap, right?
Right, yeah.
so before you get the green, you do have a little bit of practice, but it's tough. And trying to get your driver, you try to pump him up for qualifying too. And this is one of the most difficult racetracks to get a qualifying lap, a good qualifying lap.
And that always amazed me, what you said. You know, you like a little warm-up, but by the time you're in 4th gear, you got to get ready to go. And you've put your marks, you know. So what's more important, the mark where you let off or the mark that you get on it?
Probably the distance between those 2 marks is the most important.
Yeah, and the one thing you have to realize is where you had that mark to let off, you're probably, because of your qualifying setup, we've got everything the very fastest that it's going to be. You're carrying more speed at that point in time than what you were, so you better adjust and be ready because you're carrying more speed. Is that going to work? So you get back to the gas as quick as you possibly can, and that's who's going to be on the pole.
The drama of pole day at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Could Jeff Gordon become a 4-time pole winner? But more importantly, could he become a 5-time race winner, the first 5-time winner on the oval at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? When we come back, we'll take a look at the 100-year history of this oval, where it came from and where it is today.
NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, official auto insurance partner of NASCAR.
Track drying continuing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and of course this is a place where there is just so much history and tradition here. The drivers who came here for the first time in 1994. I really appreciate what this track means, and of course celebrating its 100th year anniversary this year. And of course the drivers here all reflect on what this track means to them and its history.
To go there and just know that the history of the facility and what it's meant to auto racing in general in the United States is something that it's just kind of like a hollow ground.
It's pretty impressive to see how many names and how many legends in racing from not only IndyCar racing but stock car racing, Formula One have competed.
To grow up as a kid watching the Indy 500, all the greats, A.J. Foyt and Johnny Rutherford, Al Unser, Rick Mears, and then to get the opportunity to race there was extremely special.
It's exciting for me to be able to race on the same track that many heroes of mine have raced on.
Everyone who comes here has a favorite memory of this racetrack, of growing up watching an Indy 500 or coming here to watch it with family or being here in the early years of the Brickyard 400. And all of you guys here in the panel have won it, have had special moments. And Ray, you won the very first one here with Jeff Gordon in 1994. What does this place mean to you?
Well, I don't know if I won the first one because I think Andy won it in 1909 with Ray Haroon. But Doc, it's just when you hear those guys say hero, you think about all of the people who raced here in that tradition, and it really does do something. Just the fact that today's pole day, right? Pole day, that term started here at Indianapolis, so it's an honor to come here and race.
And then for me, coming here with Earnhardt Sr. and winning at the time was his biggest win. He had not won the 500, the Daytona 500, so winning here was a big deal for him. And we didn't win the first year. He really, really wanted to. I can't tell you how much he really had that desire to win that first one. Actually, probably overdrove the car a little bit on the first lap, trying to lead the first lap. Skinned the car up a little bit. We still came back and finished in the top 5, but he came back in 1995 and really put forth an effort. It was really something to see what he could do just for that desire.
Yeah, that's, just the honor and privilege to race here was more than I ever imagined that I would get in a racing career. So then to be able to go to victory lane, not once but twice, just incredible. It's almost hard to put into words exactly how much something like this means to you, because you see the history, the prestige. It is really a career and life-changing victory when you win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that's why you see these teams and these drivers put forth such an effort. It's just an incredible experience, and I get a special feeling going to a couple of places, but when I drive through the tunnel of this place, it sends chills up my spine. This is a really, really special place, and that's why you'll see these drivers on Sunday do everything they possibly can to try to win this race.
You know, I remember interviewing Dale Earnhardt Sr. when he stepped out of that car when he was injured from the fracture at Talladega the week before, and I had never seen the Intimidator in tears. Behind his sunglasses, his lip quivering, water in his face as he said, I love and live to race, and he had to step out of the car for the only time in his career at Indianapolis. Do you have special memories of Indianapolis Motor Speedway? I'm sure everyone does. So let's turn back the clock and take a look at some of the key moments in the 100-year history of this storied speedway.
175,000 spectators jammed the Indianapolis Speedway for the granddaddy of all auto racing, the fast, furious, fabulous, fantastic 500.
Indianapolis was a very industrial town always, even before there was a track. But during the war, it was just basically people working and involved in the war effort. I mean, baseball continued on, but racing was shut down by the government because you needed the fuel and the tires and all of those supplies.
During World War I, Indianapolis Motor Speedway shut down its race operation to serve as an aviation depot. In 1941, during the Second World War, then-owner Eddie Rickenbacker, a World War I flying ace, offered the Speedway to the government for use in the war effort.
They came and had a look and said, you know, it's outmoded, but we can't land bombers and fighters here. And so I think Rickenbacker was a little dismayed by that, and so he just shut the place down. It just became terribly overgrown, and it just like a jungle. Weeds were growing up through the cracks in the mortar between the bricks. People that lived in the area and just figured, well, the place is falling apart. As soon as the war is over, it'll be sold and it'll be a housing development.
For 3 years, time stood still at the storied Speedway. Then, in late 1944, nearing the end of the war, three-time Indy 500 champion Wilbur Shaw, accompanied by a group from Firestone, came to Indianapolis for a tire test.
Legend has it that they came out and tried to open the gate, and the whole gate fell over. And when they came in, you know, they were just astonished, appalled at the condition of the track. Wilbur Shaw thought, well, we have to save the place because, you know, it's so important. It's been so many of us. It's been our life. We are what we are because of the track. We can't let it die. And so he then set about trying to find a buyer.
Shaw found a buyer, a local businessman from Terre Haute, Indiana, Tony Holman.
Apparently, Tony Holman had the ability to see into the future, and he could see the potential, and he thought it was very important that the track be saved. The deal was made, and November the 14th, 1945, Tony Holman purchased the track from Rickenbacker, and the race is only, what, 6 months something away. And so they had to scramble just to get all of the weeds and the jungle out of the infield and you know, prop up the grandstands.
May 30th, 1946, the Speedway was back in all its glory for the first time in 5 years.
It was packed. It was a big, big event. Tony did a lot of rearranging and building the place up in better seats and all different situations.
Some of these main artery highways coming into Indianapolis, well, we had a hard time getting to them. They were just all bumper to bumper. They had their seats, the back seats of their car out sitting there playing gin rummy and whatnot along the road.
And the fact that they were able to have a race with people in the grandstands and all their finery and the red, white, and blue buntings and everything, I mean, it was just a miracle. Apparently, Tony Holman said to Wilbur Shaw, he said, I don't want to lose money on this project, but I also don't intend to make money. And what he meant by that was that any profits that would be made, it was his intention to pour it back into the facility and build on it every year.
All the great drivers that been through there, and they all had their fans. You sit there and holler for them. I think we're just lucky to have it and to keep it running like it is.
And now you know why we call it the world's greatest race course. And so many people over the years talk about it being the most hallowed ground in all of motorsports. It is the largest sports arena in the world, 250,000 permanent seats, paved by 3.2 million bricks back in 1909. And with the courage of Wilbur Shaw and Tony Holman, saved this racetrack from extinction in the post-World War II days. And that's what remains the Yard of Bricks. When you talk about great venues in sports, you talk about Center Court at Wimbledon, Amen Corner at Augusta, and the Yard of Bricks here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Guys, this place has been special and will always be special to motorsports enthusiasts everywhere.
It's just hard to believe that they put 175,000 people in here back then, and it's just incredible how much this place really has meant to motorsports in general. Just getting everything back going again after the war. Everybody was so excited. You saw them out there just clogging the roads to get in here.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same way this day and time. You see people just come here, and it's so special. I mean, not only for the drivers. We talk about how special it is for us and the team owners and people. It's very special for the fans because they know that they're seeing parts of history, and it's just a place that people will continue to come. And, you know, putting last year aside, we've seen great races for 14 of the 15 years here, and I think we're going to see another one this Sunday.
And I think when you look at that feature, you can understand why it's so special to us. You look at that and think that this track is not only important to motorsports, but it's important to America in general. At a time coming out of a war, they had something to rally around, to draw 175,000 people to save this place and move auto racing. When I look at that, it's even I've got chills right now.
Yeah.
Well, the open wheel history began here in 1911 with Ray Haroon winning the very first Indianapolis 500, and it took some courage from Bill France Jr. and Tony George to think about bringing stock cars here in 1994. And when we come back, we'll take a look at the inaugural Brickyard 400 and how special it was for one Pittsburgh, Indiana driver. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're standing by to try to get qualifying underway for the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars. We've had rain showers in the area this morning. The rains have stopped and track drying began. We've had some brief showers come in and out. Hopefully we'll get qualifying in as the day progresses. We invite you to join us on Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time for live flag-to-flag coverage of the 16th running of the Brickyard 400, beginning it with NASCAR Countdown. The question is, can Jimmy Johnson become the first driver to win back-to-back races here? Can Jeff Gordon win it for the 5th time? And could we see a 50-year-old driver, Mark Martin, win at a 100-year-old racetrack? Guys, 16 years have been coming to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A lot of history now being built up by the stock cars, and I want to go back and reflect on memories of that first year coming here for the first time, right?
It was big, you know, no doubt, all of the history and things that we talked about, but it gave Jeff Gordon and the Rainbow Warriors and myself a fair shot because nobody had ever been here before, so we felt like it was a clean sheet and nobody had an advantage on us, and we could work on things specifically for this track, and we did, and we had a great day.
And you can't believe how much testing we did before we came up here. 2 years before, they did a tire test. We did actually a test the year before, and then leading up to the race, we had just days and days and miles of testing, so everybody was getting prepared for it. And I remember we brought 3 cars to that last test before we ran the first race and finally found a car that was actually good enough for us to bring.
Yeah, I came here with Jimmy Maycar and Joe Gibbs Racing, and we didn't have a guaranteed spot. We had to qualify on time. Probably the loosest race car I've ever driven in a qualifying attempt that I didn't wreck, and so I got it in the field and we made it. It was just a great event, fun to be a part of. How much this place changed when they put all of these people in the stands was amazing as a driver when we started that race. Just incredible.
Over 315,000 people were here that day, and millions watching at home the inaugural Brickyard 400 back in 1994.
From the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it seems odd to be covering a race here during the month of August, but it sure is going to be a great day.
The first one there was amazing. To go there for the first time was an unbelievable experience, and we knew that it was going to be a huge addition to our schedule if we could get there.
You know, when stock cars unloaded there for the first time and made laps, I think that was just, you know, people never thought that would happen.
I don't even think I can put it into words. Just being here is so unbelievable.
Driving through the tunnel as a competitor, that was it. That was worth it for me. I didn't care what happened the rest of the weekend. That, to me, made all my dreams come true.
And I know there were a number of drivers that came up to Foyt and said, could I have my photograph taken with you standing on the bricks, because this is probably not going to happen again.
Boy, what a historic moment that is.
Bill France Jr. said when we lined up for that picture standing on the bricks, he said that was the defining moment of NASCAR. We're here.
The green flag is about to come out to signal the beginning of the inaugural Brickyard 400.
To haul it off at end of turn one for the first time at you know, any new track, something, but you know, hey, this is the Brickyard.
I felt like we were on someone else's playground. That's really what I thought. I wasn't so sure we belonged there.
And I think that there was some concern in some areas that in general, you know, the NASCAR people were going to come in with, you know, their caps on sideways and backwards and drink a lot of beer and trash the place.
And now, Bob, it's just another race.
In reality, it's almost like they were in church. Everybody was on their best behavior, and it was almost as if we don't behave ourselves, they may not have us back.
You almost felt bad because the IndyCar thing had so much history. But to be quite honest, we overshadowed it.
Can they race two abreast to the corner? You bet they can.
And our racing was just better. The crowd, the enthusiasm was just unbelievable.
The crew radio, Jeff Gordon, said, stay in place, do not pull away, let's not show everything we've got yet.
We qualified third. We had a fast race car. The engine was running great. The team was doing well.
They're into the short chute, and Gordon has a half car length advantage as they go into four.
I just didn't fathom that we would be able to pull it off because there was so much pressure. You know, it was just too good to be true.
You couldn't have handpicked a better story. The fact that he was, what, 23 at that time? Not too far removed from having lived in the area. Just a phenomenal moment in the history of the track.
Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400.
You're sitting there pinching yourself because you can't believe that this just happened.
Oh, man, what a battle. You know, we had a great car all day long.
Still this day, when I get asked, what's your biggest win, which one stands out to you, I always say the inaugural Brickyard 400. That was, and always will be, the biggest win of my career.
When the day was done, Jeff Gordon would have led 93 laps and become the first NASCAR stock car driver to win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Brett Bodine, who currently drives the NASCAR pace car, will be pacing the field here on Sunday, finishing second. Look at Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, who came so close so many times here. Look at the intimidator, Dale Earnhardt, who would win this race a year later. And the names that are there. Morgan Shepherd, by the way, who will be competing later tonight over at O'Reilly Raceway Park, still competing at the age of 67 in NASCAR nationwide competition. Wow, what a special memory. 1994. Now, Ray Evernham, you grew up as an open-wheel racer, but came here in 94 and made stock car history. What was that day like for you?
You know, I'm not an emotional guy. Most people would tell you I could be a stone face when I was up on the box, but there's a place that has brought me to having some moisture in my eyes more than anywhere. You know, when we won Daytona, a little bit like that, and we won the championship, but here twice. You know, winning that first one with Jeff, it's just, I can't even explain the emotion because you don't know what to feel. You can't. I've got pictures of myself in Victory Lane. I'm just standing there with a blank look on my face. You don't realize what it means at that time. And as time goes on, it means more and more and more and becomes more and more special.
Were you guys aware of what was happening? I know when the race started, you're focused on trying to drive the car and trying to get Dale Earnhardt to victory lane. But as the race progressed, did you take a moment to look around at the massive crowd and realize what was about to happen here in stock cars?
You know, that's a good point because I had a really hard time getting into the flow of the race that morning and that day when we started. All the people out there, the cars were on the track, and you knew how big it was. And it was really hard to focus on the nuts and bolts of make sure your air pressures are right, make sure everything's on the wall, make sure you pick crew's ready, because you're so caught up in this whole thing. It was just unbelievable, the whole experience.
Yeah, the whole week had been so special leading up to it, but race day, when we walked out there for driver introduction and to get ready to get in the cart, the amount of people that were not only on the racetrack, but as I said earlier, in the stands, it was incredible. And when we finally got to start the race and you drove off down into turn 1, a turn that looked so open in all the practice sessions, and here all these people had closed this in. Looked like you didn't have room to go through there too wide. But it was a great show. It could not have been a more fitting ending. All of us obviously wanted to win the race, but to have Jeff Gordon to win the inaugural Brickyard 400 was probably the best thing that could happen for NASCAR racing at that time. And so it was a very, very special day, and just glad we all had the opportunity to come here. And Ray, I didn't realize y'all were holding back the whole day. You had a beat, and you holding back too.
Won the whole day, just a little bit.
Oh, okay.
When Ernie started to push us, we had to get on a little bit.
That was me, by the way, giving that report that Ray had told me. You know, what a special place. I mean, that day at this place, the first stock car win by Jeff Gordon. Now he's the only driver to have won it 4 times. Anytime you race at Indianapolis, it is not only viewed by thousands here, it is viewed by millions around the world. And in fact, one driver who has now come to stock car racing has some memories of watching racing at Indianapolis. Let's go to the garage area and visit with Marcus Ambrose.
And he's from Tasmania, Australia, and I know you have memories of this place. What is the most significant memory as a child?
Well, I used to watch all the Indy 500s, and it was like the classic weekend because it was Monaco, and then, of course, it was the Coke 600 and then Indy, and so you'd stay up all night. You just look forward to it all year, and so about 2:30 in the morning on Sunday, the Indy race would start. And I just remember Rick Mears and the Unses and the Andrettis just going at it here, and really my strongest recollection back then was probably the spin and win by Danny Sullivan. And you know, just an awesome track. You know, you're on special ground here. I've dreamt of coming here, never thought I'd ever get to run the track, and here we are, racing the best racing series in the world and racing at the best track in the world.
Last year was your first opportunity to race here. Yesterday in the car, though, completely different year. How good was the car?
Yeah, the car was great yesterday. This is our 12-month anniversary. Myself, Frankie Kerr, joining forces at the Sprint Cup level, and you know, we qualified in this race last year as a you know, just our one-off race for us for JTG Doherty Racing. And 12 months later, here we are. We're top 20 in the points. You know, looking really strong every week and really enjoying ourselves. And it just feels great to be here in this series at this level and doing so well.
Now, there's one other person in your group that may be more impacted by Indy than you. Tell me about him.
Well, all my guys on the crew here basically have been racers, but probably the most famous of all is Frankie Kerr, our crew chief. And I've got an old-time photo of Frankie Kerr back in the day when he was wearing the driving suit, and he's won over 200 races in Sprint Car All-Star or Sprint Car Races USAC, dirt and pavement, all kinds of different stuff, and he's a real hero of ours. So, Frankie, we're going to try and win it for you, mate.
So who's more pumped up to win here?
I think Frankie's for sure. He loves coming here. You know, we all love Indy, and Frankie, I think, dreamt that he could one day have raced here, and he didn't get here behind the wheel, but he's now basically driving for me in the pit box.
Well, so far this duo is doing a fantastic job. As he mentioned, Doc, he's sitting 18th in points. Pretty impressive in just 1 year.
The Tasmanian has certainly caught on here in stock car racing. You heard him mention Danny Sullivan, the spin and win in the 1985 Indianapolis 500. Danny Sullivan, by the way, was in the inaugural Brickyard 400, as was Jeff Brabham and John Andretti. And the oldest driver to run here in a stock car, the legend himself, A.J. Foyt, at 59 years, 202 days back in 1994. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, getting set or trying to get set for NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying. As you can see, the rains have moved in and out of the area. We've had some rain showers this morning, and we are continuing to try to dry the racetrack. 46 cars poised in the garage area, hoping to get a chance to go out here very shortly and attempt 2 laps of qualifying. Let's go down to the garage and get an update from Dave Burns.
Yeah, Doc, right now nothing's really happening, but we should update you on the why and the where for. The cars that have already gone through pre-qualifying inspection have been brought back here to the garage area, and the crews have been asked not to get near them. There's kind of a no-fly zone around all the cars right now. So they were checked and decked this morning from NASCAR officials. They're ready to go qualifying when this track dries up and we get some chance to do that. But for the moment, here they are, and they are under wraps. Now, as far as other things happening out here, well, the folks are just kind of standing around waiting for things to happen, like a report from down in the garage area, and when anything happens, well, they get excited.
Dave Mearns brought the fan club there to Indianapolis. Good to have Dave's family here with us. Folks, glad to have you with us here as we are trying to get the track dry. 2 practice sessions yesterday in terms of getting on the racetrack early and then late in the afternoon. And about some surprises. I mean, everyone knew Juan Pablo Montoya was good, but he was second in both sessions.
Yeah, I spent a little time in that garage area during that last practice, and I was actually in Montoya's garage area talking with Tony Glover and Montoya. They've got a lot of confidence. You know, they're talking about their team being really at probably the best it's been in years. They feel like Montoya has really matured as a driver, and now is his time. He's right there in the thick of the chase, and that's what they're thinking about. And I said, okay, if it comes down to it, are you guys going to really roll the dice to try to win this thing, or are you just going to be conservative to try to stay in the chase? And his answer was it was actually Brian Patty. He said that they really are focused on making this chase. That no matter what, they'd like to have a chance to win, but they're not going to throw anything away to try to get it.
You know, another one of the surprises in that second session might have been the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. They really struggled in the first session, and Junior's made no bones about the fact that he's had his issues with flat racetracks. But in that second session, the 88 car came all the way up to 6th quickest.
Yeah, it sure did. But this was a brand new race car, and I think that they were taking some time to kind of feel things out. They were certainly just in practice mode and kind of race mode in that first session. Junior a little under the weather. I don't think that's going to have an effect on him. Today's kind of an easy day for him, but I think he has a good draw for qualifying, and he ran a good lap in the second session in qualifying setup. So I think that I look for him to have a good weekend. Even though he says he's not that good on flat tracks, I think he's pretty good anywhere that he goes.
And I agree, but I think Vince has got something for us down in the garage area in that 88.
Well, let's update it. Vince?
Yeah, with Lance McGrew, the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr., and it was interesting yesterday we talked about the fact that Dale wasn't feeling well, and so maybe we'll start there with an update on how Junior's feeling today.
Yeah, he's got some kind of stomach virus, so he was definitely not himself yesterday. He went to the infield care center, got some units, got a little fluids in him. Definitely kind of made our way through practice. Car was really good. He was real happy, but it was so hot, so tried to take it a little bit easy. Last night he kind of had a fever, and he feels like that broke this morning, but you know, the weather's helping us out a little bit. It's allowing him to do a little more resting, and it's not hot, so when we get practice later today, we should be good.
Brad Keselowski, the driver on the nationwide side for Junior, would you have him ready in case Junior should take a turn for the worse?
We're probably going to take some steps to where Brad's available tomorrow. He'll probably be on the property somewhere. I don't think he's going to be sitting on the pit box in a driver's suit or anything, but Junior just felt like it was smart for us to have a backup plan. He's probably going to make a couple laps in the first practice session in the car just so he's qualified to relieve tomorrow if possible.
Considering Junior wasn't feeling well, did you get done what you wanted to get accomplished yesterday in practice? I know you took a couple of qualifying runs.
No, the car was really good. You know, obviously you never get done what you want to get done. But, yeah, the car was good. Junior was pretty happy with it off the truck. We made a couple adjustments, felt like we made some gains, and we'll go on. Depending on what the weather does today, you know, we're looking forward to qualifying because we had an early draw and we feel like the car's really good.
It's a tough situation anytime you take over and you pair yourself with a new driver midway through the course of the season. How have you guys progressed in working together, and where do you feel like you're making steps forward?
I think it's just communication. You know, I feel like the driver-crew chief relationship is one that you have to have ultimate trust in each other and feel like, and if you don't have that, I don't think you're going to succeed. So the cars have been good. Junior's been giving better and better feedback. I've been interpreting what he's saying better, I feel like, on a weekly basis, which that's my job. So as we go along and we continue to grow and develop a friendship and a relationship, you know, inside and outside of racing, I feel like that'll just continue to get stronger and stronger.
And speaking of relationships, I don't think there's any driver that has a better relationship with his fans, at least from the number of fans, than Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Amp Energy Drinks got an interesting sponsor to where fans can actually get their names on his car for the race later this season at Talladega. How does that happen?
Yeah, the race at Talladega, if you sign up to ampenergy.com, you can actually have your name printed on the actual race car. You can tune into the website and actually see where your name is placed on the car. So it's a really cool. It's free. You go to the website, you sign up, your name's printed on the car, and it's a pretty cool promotion.
Yeah, very interesting. Thanks a lot, Lance, and we'll look forward to maybe seeing more of the 88 car moving toward the front. They had a couple of pretty good qualifying sims yesterday afternoon, Doc.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., a 6-time most popular driver in NASCAR, and the Earnhardt Nation out here to watch their favorite drivers go on the racetrack here very shortly. Hopefully we get the track dry. And the best treatment for an ailing race car driver is a fast race car. And as you heard Lance McGrew say, they have an early draw, which normally is a blessing here. So if Dale Earnhardt Jr. were to go out early and put that car on the front row, I've got to believe he might start feeling a little bit better. Now, the cars are covered up in the garage area right now, but there's a lot of things that have to be done to change over from practice to qualifying and from qualifying to race. For more on what has to happen, let's go down to our Craftsman Tech garage and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. Here in Indianapolis, this racetrack is very, very heat sensitive. When the racetrack gets hot, you lose a lot of grip, so you have to change your combinations around. But fortunately, during the tire test, we learned a lot about the race cars. When you drive off down in a corner in a qualifying setup, when you've got sticker tires on the car, you've increased the front nose weight. So we take the tungsten in the frame rails and slide it forward to make the front axle actually heavier. But what we have to do, we have to work with the spring package and the shock absorbers. The shock absorbers, we're actually going to adjust the bump stops. And what we can do, we can change the shims, the stackers on the shock absorber to control the ride height. But the lower we can keep the air dam on the front of the car to the racetrack, the more downforce we're going to make. But like I said, when you drive the car off in the corner in a qualifying lap, like DJ said earlier, you've driven it so hard and so fast, you're carrying a lot more speed. But that's one situation we go through. But for the race, it's completely different. So what we're going to do, we're going to change the front shock absorbers. We're going to actually slide the ballast back in the frame rails because you've got a different animal. You're going to back the corner up. You don't need as much stability to get down in the corner because you're not carrying a lot of speed. You also have to keep the car turning and rotating on the short chutes. But the key to Indianapolis is getting through the center of the corner to get a run off the corner to carry the momentum down the straightaway. Rusty Wallace and I were talking. He never qualified really well here because he overdrove the car getting in the corner. Having that horsepower down the straightaway, that's a great thing. But changing the car up from a qualifying scenario to a race scenario, the guys have to keep accurate notes and be very, very aware of what the track temperature is as far as changing. And the guys with the early draw, look for them to run really fast. Doc?
Thank you, Tim. A very technical racetrack here, a very difficult racetrack, and the drivers will tell you that it is probably one of the most difficult tracks to drive and to set up for. So why don't we talk about it with our panels? As far as grabbing the racetrack, it is not 4 turns. We hear people say it's more like 8 turns. How tough is it to get the car dialed in?
Well, the number of turns depends on how good your car is handling, whether turning that wheel back and forth. But this is a very detail-oriented track, and Tim is exactly right. The guys that have got the early draw today, after a rain, this place really picks up. But, you know, I talked to Chad Knaus this morning, and I said, Chad, can you really do as much with these new cars as we used to do with the old cars? Because the qualifying setup used to be completely different. And he said, Ray, we do have a lot of leeway, but it's much smaller increments. It's not what you're used to, you know, a bunch of rounds on the track bar, a bunch of wedge. He said, it's little bits, and they're going to work. And he talks a lot about their bump stop loads and the timing for doing that. You know, just smaller changes in smaller increments than we were used to before.
And this track is totally unique. It's not like any other track we run on. And it has a combination of everything. It's got these long straightaways. You go down into a short track corner. It's very flat. It's like a short track. And so, you know, the first year we came up here trying to figure out what we needed. It was like somewhere between you need a short track chassis with an aerodynamic speedway body, and then also going down the straightaway, and then you needed the big downforce that you would run at an intermediate track. So it's one of those tracks that has everything.
Yeah, and from a driver's perspective, when you look, it depends on how good your car is. You talk about the number of corners. If If your car is really good, you say, man, that's great because I have an opportunity to make up time in more spots. If your car is not so good, you got a late draw, you say, oh my gosh, this is going to be the longest lap I've ever driven in my life. So just depending on how your car is, your luck of the draw, and depending on when we finally get qualifying in here, Andy and I were just talking, at what point does this early draw become a hindrance, or a draw that's not so good? If we get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then those guys going early are not going to be as good a draw as what they thought they had at the beginning.
We'll talk about the luck of the draw and maybe the luck of winning at Indianapolis as Mark Martin will join us here on the set in just a moment when we come back. And of course, we'll also come back and talk to a man who has won 2 poles and 2 races as a car owner here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
It's just something about the place that everybody wants to go to. And there's been so many moments that you've watched, and to be a part of that moment.
Wins the 10th running of the Brickyard 400 of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Get to kneel down and kiss the bricks and be a part of everything. The coolest part about winning Indy is the victory lap after you win. You ride around the track and see all the fans that are true race fans that stick around to see the winner and know the tradition of Indy, and they know that victory lap is going to happen.
We invite you to join us Sunday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live coverage of the 16th running of the Brickyard 400 presented by Golden Corral. All our coverage kicks off with NASCAR Countdown, some very special features, A.J. Foyt and Tony Stewart, and a special sit-down discussion, Kelly Ripa with Jeff Gordon in Central Park. Track drying continuing here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, trying to get qualifying underway. And of course, a lot of people sitting, watching, and waiting in the garage area. There have been some significant wins over the year. Rick Hendrick has won 6 times here. Look at Richard Childress. He's got 2 poles and 2 victories here. One coming with Dale Earnhardt Sr. in '95, and of course one with Kevin Harvick in 2003. But it's been a struggle here thus far in 2009. He's standing by with Jamie.
And he has 4 cars in the field this year, of course. First time he's running 4 cars. But, Richard, what does a rain out like this do for you guys? Hopefully we do get qualifying in, but we've had a lot this year. How does that impact your teams?
Well, I mean, we got 3 cars that's really running good. Kevin was, I think, 4th, and we had a couple of them in the top 10 there. And we really want to qualify and see if we can get us a better starting position. You know, we've had a couple of rainouts this year that we were really running good at and had to start in the back and wound up in some wrecks. So hopefully the racing gods will smile on us today and we'll get this qualifying in. As I say that, it starts to rain again.
It is starting to rain again. Now, Richard, last year we talked about you guys so much. You had 3 cars and all 3 made the chase. Right now you guys sit 15th to 25th. What can you guys do to turn it around and to get 1 or maybe 2 of your cars in the chase?
Well, you know, we've still got 2 of them that's well capable of being in the chase. We just got to be able to miss some of the wrecks on the racetrack and capitalize. We haven't, none of our cars have capitalized on where we're running this year. And when people start looking just at points, it really makes your whole organization look bad. But there's a lot of reasons and that we're where we're at, and our cars aren't quite as good as we think we should be. But that's not all the reason. If you go looking at the crashes that we've been involved in and a lot of those things, that's what's put us where we're at.
There's a lot going on, obviously, the economy and keeping sponsorship and not running well. You have to answer to those sponsors. And at the same time, last week we hear that Kevin Harvick wants out a year early. How are you dealing with those situations?
Well, you know, I've been in this sport long enough to know we got great sponsors, and those sponsors that we do have understand, and they're the ones that look at when you are in several crashes. They understand that. And as far as Kevin, he's a great driver, great sponsor in Shell, and we're going to be together in 2009, 2010, and that's where it stands with that. And but we're excited. I think we can win some races with Kevin before the year's over and contend for the championship in 2010. That is our goal, and we got 3 other teams that's right there too. I think that between Jeff and Clint both, we're going to do everything we can to get both those cars in the chase.
And you mentioned you guys have had some serious bad luck this year. You just told me a stat over there about the number of wrecked cars. How many compared to the last 3 years?
We've tore up more cars in, I think it's 19 races now, than we have over the last 3 years. And that's just, I've been in this sport long enough to see it go, you know, from a peak to a valley real quick.
All right, he's been there. He's seen the best. He's seen the worst, Doc. But here, he's keeping his fingers crossed we get qualifying in.
Thank you, Jamie. 2009 has been a bad luck season thus far for one of the legendary owners, Richard Childress. Now, it has also been a good season for one of the legendary drivers, Mark Martin, as we saw the last time the Cup cars raced 2 weeks ago at Chicagoland.
A number of guys are just outside that top 12 needing to make something happen. You know, you'll want to stand on the gas, you want to go for the win, but yet you want to stay in the points and leave here as high in the rankings as you can. The pressure is on big time.
Try to help me make no mistakes. I'll try to help you guys. Yeah, 10-4. We'll do it all night long here, bud.
Here they come. The Team Red Bull cars lined up as the green goes in the air, and Vickers gets the jump. Had sprinted away at the drop of the green flag, but now he's got company.
The low Chevrolet, Jimmy Johnson right there. Try some different lines. Up here. 10-4.
Jimmy Johnson is up alongside this time, and he'll make the pass.
Let's settle in here, try to get some good laps.
Jimmy Johnson leading this race with ease, but he is not the fastest car on the racetrack.
The 5 car is the fastest car out there, but he's the only car on the racetrack faster than you. We need to lead as many as we can, but take care of it.
Sun is setting. The lights are on here at Chicagoland Speedway, and Mark Martin right now is loving it in the moonlight.
Oh, this is easy, bud. You want me to put the hammer down? I'll pull on out.
Nights like this just don't happen very often, where you have got the field as completely covered as Mark appears to have.
Hey, Mark, you know the Boston 60 is coming up, right? We're going to get him a big present. Yeah. It's not done yet, though. These things are really hard to win, but it's still fun. Yeah, I'm kind of having a good time tonight, too. It's good, boss.
Kyle Busch has just about knocked down the wall in turn 3.
Play with the front, loose with the back, play behind cars, loose behind cars.
One car goes around all by himself, and it's Kyle Busch.
I can't stand to drive these cars anymore.
Kyle Busch teetering on the brake, being out of the chase right now.
Get ready to get back at it here at Chicagoland.
Green flag in the air.
Jimmy Johnson's there. This time he climbs the banking. They'll go wheel to wheel. Jimmy Johnson in the race lead.
Wow. Oh, it's nice.
Mark Martin, who has dominated all night long, has just gotten drop kicked all the way back to the 3rd position.
We'll get him back. Don't worry about it. I think radio silence would be in order right now. War's on. 10-4.
Johnson sideways 3 wide. Denny Hamlin in the middle going for the race lead. And Brian Vickers all the way to the bottom. He'll take the top spot.
Still there with the 11. Still there with the 11.
They make contact. Vickers is into Denny Hamlin. Here comes Mark Martin. Martin takes the top spot.
Woohoo!
The best car is running out front right now. Mark Martin pins it to the bottom of the track.
You stop somebody. You're the man, baby.
Checkered flag is out. Mark Martin wins.
I can't believe it. Man, that's big. That is big. We won, right? Mark, you didn't win. You crushed them, baby.
What an impressive performance and what an impressive season for 50-year-old Mark Martin. 4 wins, 3 poles. By the way, at Chicagoland, all he did was lead 4 times for 195 laps. Look at the top 5s and top 10s, and he gave his car owner, Rick Hendrick, a very nice 60th birthday present. Mark Martin, thanks for coming in, and congratulations, by the way, on a phenomenal season so far.
Thank you. I want to give the credit to Alan Gustafson and everybody on the 5 team. Man, we're having fun. No way anybody's having as much fun as I am.
Now, when you made the decision to come back, and we've talked about how Rick Hendrick and you talked back and forth, and you said the #1 focus was simply to come. Everybody, we were all talking championship. Your focus was to come back and just win races. Is that still where it is?
Oh, yeah. You know, just like I say, nobody could be having more fun than me, and I'm not going to spoil it by worrying about what we hadn't done or what we might do or what we might not do. Just climbing in, strapping in that race car every day, going to work every day and working with this team is beyond my dreams.
Mark, I watched you in that Chicago race, and I've been amazed watching you for a lot of years because you're tremendous talent, and I know you always give the credit to the crew and everything. But watching that unfold, that had to be some of your best driving, not only on the track but thinking also. And then listening to that, you really had your hands full there, didn't you?
I did, and you know this too, Dale, because you've had those days. I make my best effort every time I get in that race car, but not every race goes that way. You know, I've had some that I'm really proud of, and I have some that I've made my best effort, and you look at it and say, well, that wasn't very special. So Chicago was very special in every way. The double file restarts and all the you know, that's why I said this thing isn't done yet. You know, when I remember Alan saying 15 to go and me thinking that's going to be a long way. And I had no idea how hard it was going to get from there to the end. I knew it could get hard, but I didn't know it was going to get that hard, you know.
Well, you did such a great job winning that one, and you also have won them different ways this year. You won one on fuel mileage. I mean, basically a discipline type race, and I know that's got to be so hard to do when you know you've got a fast race car, everybody's low on fuel, you want to push the gas, and you were disciplined enough to win that one, and some guys that weren't.
Andy, I wouldn't have won that race if I'd have been solid in the chase. I just could not have let them do that, because you know I'm sitting there looking at them saying, I can do that, guys. Yeah. You know, but we can't run out of gas. Absolutely can't. And with all that discipline, we still ran out with
coming to the line.
Yeah, about 300 feet to go. So,
yeah. But it worked out.
Yeah, it was just enough. You know.
All right, you won that one like that. How are you going to win this one?
I don't know. Any scenario that is possible, you know, to get to that line first, that checkered flag first. I don't care whatever scenario it takes.
Did you find enough in practice to know how good the car is? I mean, obviously you were fastest in practice, but is it good? Is it that good?
In race trim, it was not good. It was absolutely not good. Just barely ahead of middle of the pack. So then we went in qualifying trim and we made 3 runs, and every run we made improvement that all will incorporate into the race trim. So if we don't get practice, I'll be disappointed. If we do get practice, we will zero in, and I believe that we will, you know, we'll be good. But, you know, we were that way in Chicago too. We were way off, you know, to start with, and then we found some things in race trim, and by the end of Friday's practice, you know, we knew we had something. But on Thursday in race trim, we were not. So we're still learning. You know, Alan and I and all of us together, you know, I think we're getting better. And I can't guarantee better results in our future, but I guarantee that we'll show up at most of these racetracks closer. We get a chance to go back to these racetracks a second time after me driving their cars, you know, and you know, building a notebook together.
Yeah, I'll caution all you drivers out there watching this show, him talking about his car not very good. I've heard that before, and then he kicked our tail once again, so don't believe that.
Our special guest is Mark Martin here in the pit studio. When we come back, we'll take a look at his crew, why they are so good, Alan Gustafson and company, and we'll visit some of Mark Martin's great moments here in his career. Back in a moment.
I was a kid growing up in Arkansas. The Indy 500 was, to me, it was the biggest race in the world. When stock cars unloaded there for the first time and made laps, I think that was just, you know, people never thought that would happen.
With all the races that have happened there over the years and all the history that's there with Indy cars, you know, having NASCAR there is a big spectacle as well.
We're guests at a racetrack with a really, really rich history before NASCAR had anything to do with it.
At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there is the 5-car all nestled in and covered up and getting ready to qualify. Remember, Mark Martin has sat on the front row 3 times here and trying to do it again. We talked about memories of Indianapolis. And Mark, growing up, you said in Batesville, Arkansas. How about some of your early memories of this racetrack and maybe also that very first Brickyard 400?
Well, first of all, I was reflecting yesterday. I moved up here 30 years ago, just up the road. And I didn't come to the racetrack here, but I knew every crevice in the road. I ran up and down these roads all over this place. I lived up here 3 years, just north of here. And you know, I was reflecting back on that, and I did come here and take the tour and all that stuff. You know, but that was a long, long time ago. I never, you know, just like Bobby Labonte said, I never dreamed that stock cars would race here. And even when we came and did, you know, our little test and everything, I was saying, I don't think that's going to happen, you know. So it's really, really cool. It's great for our fans, and it's great for all of us.
You know, I know you're into one of the reasons that you're able to do what you do in the race car today, because many of us have known you for 20 years. We know that you're a physical fitness fanatic. You stay physically fit, you watch the nutrition, and also you're over-the-wall guys. One of the reasons they've been able to get faster and faster on pit road is because they start in the gym and in the pool. Let's take a look.
It's the difference between winning and losing week in and week out.
Gotta be smart. You're the best at it, smartest out there. You got it, baby! Yeah! You are the man. What a race team.
It's harder to pass. And it's going to get harder to pass. The competition is getting tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher. So now the competition on pit road is going to be tougher and tougher. Mark Baldwin and Mark Morrison are two pit crew coaches, wanted to try to emphasize some things that we haven't emphasized as much in the past.
This is the moment you get to nurture your spine, so take it slowly.
They implemented yoga, which was really good, I think, for injury prevention, you know, stretching, flexibility.
For me, with all the weight training and stuff we do, my body tends to be tight all the time. So yoga is a good way to both strengthen and loosen your muscles and your joints at the same time.
Today we're hitting some aquatic training. Our season is so long that we find that this can be very therapeutic, and if we do have some early injuries, this can definitely help.
If all you do is work out and do pit stops, it becomes repetitive and you kind of get yourself in a slump. Doing these different exercises strengthens you mentally and also physically.
There's a lot of team building to it, you know. If it's heat training where they're out there kind of struggling together, you know, you're just trying to make it through, and your teammates encouraging you.
And heat training pretty much says it. I mean, we're right here in the middle of summer now, and these guys are wearing their fire suits. It's not as much of a shock to them Sundays when they get out there.
One spot on pit road may be the difference that you needed to miss a wreck or that you needed to put yourself in a position to win the race. Just trying to, you know, explore all the options we've got and do the best job we can to have the best pit crew on pit road.
You understand now that what happens on Sunday really starts early in the week with a lot of preparation. Mark, throughout your career, you've sort of been the guy that's always given the team credit for what happens on the racetrack. And people at home probably didn't realize these guys really sacrifice and lay it on the line during the week to be good for you on Sunday.
Every day. It's so incredible. And, you know, one of the things that's really special is to see the smile on these guys' face. You know, winning at Phoenix was awesome. Now they've all kind of run together, but it happened again yesterday toward the end of practice when we went to the top of the board. You should have seen those guys. I mean, it's so important to me because I've rode in the back. I've raced in the middle, and it's miserable. And they're the difference of me riding in the middle and, you know, contending up front.
You know, it all starts, I guess, with leadership on pit road. And Alan Gustafson, I know we've talked about what a great job he has done. Let's talk about him for a second, about what he has done for that crew and for you here in 2009.
He's really a special guy, and I am living my second childhood, so he is my, you know, he is my childhood hero to some degree. I didn't know that he was a big fan of mine when he was a little kid growing up and all, but this guy is so bright and he is so good, and I am so comfortable with him having the majority of the load, and it's really making it work well. He's really a special guy, and I'm proud of him.
And we've got him as our special surprise guest here. Alan, you're hearing all the accolades that Mark is throwing your way. I know you, growing up, you were a Mark Martin fan.
I was a big Mark Martin fan. I mean, it's hard not to be. The guy's really incredible, and to be able to help him succeed at Hendrick Motorsports is a great privilege and something we really enjoy. But to have that chance, you know, is something I never thought I'd be able to do, and we relish it every day.
Talk about the relationship you guys have developed. I know we talk about we saw the highlights of Chicago, and you were trying to guide him through, and suddenly Mark said it's time to go to war, and then everybody just sort of sat back and watched Mark do his job on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can help Mark, you're doing a good job because he's got pretty much all of it covered. But we've got a great relationship. You know, I don't know if growing up watching him race, I learned a lot from him. I think just trying to emulate him and watch him. So I think that helps our personalities mesh real good.
Okay, I've got a question for you, Alan. Racetrack is still pretty wet. When we do eventually get out there to qualify, do you think that the racetrack is going to be unhappy because there's not rubber on it? Do you think this tire, being a little bit more gooey, is going to be lacking some grip because there's not rubber on the track?
I think, like we talked about a little earlier, I think the fact that they're not running the jets is a good thing. I think that's going to keep the track pretty well rubbered up, and it's going to have a lot of grip, not a lot of jet fuel or residue on the track, on the surface, and the track will retain a lot of the rubber, and we'll be ready to go out there and, you know, I don't know, run a 48-50 or something.
If I can do that and stay out of the concrete, I'll be really happy.
So we've never taken you folks at home inside a team meeting. You just saw it to the driver talking to his crew chief about what's going to happen on qualifying. And, of course, Mark, we thank you for coming in, and we thank Alan Gustafson for being on with us as well. And we wish you the best of luck later today in qualifying, and then particularly tomorrow, maybe getting that first Brickyard 400 victory.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be with y'all.
Yeah, good luck, man.
Thank you.
Mark Martin, the ageless wonder, 50 years of age, and one of our heroes because we're all 50 plus here on this panel. Could he pull it off here on Sunday afternoon? Back with more in just a moment. We are live at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we are trying to get the track dry because we want to get NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying underway. 46 cars poised to go out and qualify. Want to get qualifying to determine the starting order for Sunday's 16th running of the Brickyard 400. Now, we not only have racing going on here at Indianapolis, we also have live coverage coming your way today from across town at O'Reilly Raceway Park, where the NASCAR Nationwide cars are standing by, as well as our Marty Reed. Marty, what's going on over at ORP?
Well, the good news, Doc, is we're only 10 miles away from you guys. The bad news is we're 10 miles away from you guys, which means we have the same wet weather that you have. The one advantage we have, being a 5/8 mile oval rather than the 2.5 mile Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it should take us a little less time to dry out once we get to that point. But the jet dryers are on the shelf right now because we still have a mist in the air. Let's bring in Rusty Wallace, two-time pole sitter and two-time winner here at ORP. Randy LaJoie. This is going to be, based on what we saw last night in the truck race, short track racing at its best.
Marty, you got that right. This thing is going to be a knockdown, drag-out. Probably one of the most exciting short track races I've ever seen in my life. Why? We're going to have double file restarts. Those guys are going to be rocking it down in turn one side by side, bouncing off each other, and we generally don't see that as much as I think we're going to see tonight. Tonight could be the most exciting short track race you guys have ever seen in your life.
And Randy, we have some guys that are not thrilled with this double file restart, but it's something they're going to have to learn to deal with.
You know, growing up short track racing, one of the things you learn how to do is double file restarts. This is something that if you're sixth in line, you know, this is great. Now you're third, and you can see the leader up on your left front. And when you see the leader, race car drivers pull it tight. They're going for it 2 wide. I think we're going to see 3 wide. We're going to see guys almost in the grass here tonight.
Now, one thing that will change, however, if you were with this last year, Carl Edwards got 3 laps down. Because single file restarts, he was able to get 2 of those laps back by outracing leader Kyle Busch and then got the lucky dog. We may not see that happen because that guy's going to be starting way in the back.
Marty, I don't think it's going to be possible tonight with the new double file restart program. What Carl did last year, I don't think he's going to do this year because there's so many cars blocking his path to get to the front. So it's going to be a tough one. You got to race hard and not get a lap down.
But there is one way you can try and make that work for you, isn't it, Randy?
Absolutely. If you have trouble like Carl did last year and you have to go a couple laps down, the only way you can do it is get in front of the leader and stay on the racetrack when the caution comes out. They give you the pass around, and then you get 1 lap back, and now you're at the tail end of the longest line. Is it confusing? Yes. But is it exciting? Yes, it is.
And we'll sort that all out for you as it happens. The one problem that creates is obviously you're out of sequence because once you take the pass around, you cannot pit under that caution. Now, there's also the question of double duty drivers, and the rain is creating havoc with that. For that, let's bring in one of our 2 pit crew members today, a very slightly soggy Jackaroo. Hello, Jackson.
Well, not as soggy as I was about 5 minutes ago, Marty, because the rain has subsided, just a very slight mist as you alluded to. But during this rain period, the NASCAR officials were able to do some, well, weeper repair at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Never in 30 years that I've been here have I seen weepers at O'Reilly Raceway Park, but they're here today. But this weather has really put the drivers that are going to try and attempt to do double duty, and there are 4 of them, in quite a conundrum right now. Why? Because they can't get out here and at least shake their car down. Forget about if they have to qualify or not. 4 drivers are going to try and qualify for the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard and also race in tonight's race here. Those 4 drivers, though, now find themselves looking up to the sky and wondering when they're going to get an opportunity. And last night, if it's any indication, as you alluded to, that great truck race, well, for Kyle Busch, that fact that he wasn't able to come back after shaking his truck down, it took him half the race to get that truck sorted out and probably denied him an opportunity to score a victory last night. So all those 4 drivers right now are looking skyward like we are, and they're going, why me? Why me? For more from Pit Road, let's check in with Shannon Spake. Shannon?
Well, Jack, you said 4 double-duty drivers, and it may be 4.5 because Brad Keselowski has been called to come over to IMS to jump in the car and possibly fill in for Junior. What is the latest with that?
Oh, well, you know, Dale just had a little stomach virus by the sounds of it. I don't know. I haven't talked to him, but I'm sure he'll be all right. Dale's a lot tougher than I think he gets credit for. So when it comes race time, he's going to be ready to go. And it's just a precautionary measure in case he gets any sicker, which I think he's actually coming down from it now. So I don't think it's really even going to be an issue.
Now, I asked you about going over there and racing at that track, and you said, I tested there. Do you think testing there helped you prepare for possibly maybe having to fill in for Dale on Sunday?
Yeah, I got to test there with the very first tire test, or second, I'm sorry, that they did after last year, and had a productive test and learned a lot about the track, and I feel like I would be ready to go, but I don't think I'm going to get that opportunity. So hopefully Dale's doing all right, and I'm sure he'll get feeling better, and it won't even be an issue.
All right, let's talk about this racetrack. We have a sort of a different type of stall selection this week for pit stalls. It was based on qualifying last week, so you have that #1 pit stall because you were on the pole last week at Gateway. How important is that going to be here at this track?
It's really big here. Gateway, we had green flag pit stops, so I really didn't get to take advantage of the stall. We're here, you know, you're going to always pit under the yellow, and it's worth a good 2 or 3 spots every time you pit. So that's a huge advantage, and I'm really glad that we have further to go to Addy Chevrolet when we get to race here, which is going to be tonight. I believe that. We're going to race here tonight, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Brad Keselowski will be heading over to IMS to try to get some practice laps in that 88, and later tonight he'll be in the 88 here in the Nationwide Series.
All right, thanks, Shannon. And guess what we're doing over on the infield portion of the racetrack? There's Stephen Light. Over to his left is Austin Dillon, and they are fishing. It's a sort of a makeshift deal. Look, they're using a bottle as the bobber, and I don't know where the hook's coming from, but we'll let you know if they've caught anything. So far, it's a big 0. Hey, Doc, got a question for you. How about if we have a little contest? Whoever gets race cars on the track first gets the airtime.
That sounds good to us, Marty. You know, and I got to ask you something about that. Now, these drivers that are doing the double duty we're going to helicopter back and forth, and obviously with the skies the way they are now, it's got to be a little more challenging for these guys. Talking about Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch and David Rudiman and Matt Kenseth. Can you get a helicopter in over at ORP, or is it as bad as it is here at Indianapolis?
I have to be honest, I don't know what the ceiling is. Looking out the window, yeah, there is enough visibility that they would be able to land, but until you know what the schedule is and what you have to do, that's going to be the big problem for those 4 guys.
Well, NASCAR is addressing the schedule. They've told us here, Marty, they're going to try to make it easier for the drivers to be able to go back and forth, and we're going to make it easy for our fans to go back and forth because we're going to be here throughout the afternoon, and of course live coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series race at the Raleigh Raceway Park tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN, of course, and we are going to be here on Sunday for the 16th running of the Brickyard 400 presented by Golden Corral. We are standing by for qualifying and/or practice across town at ORP. Back in a moment. Standing by at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, hoping to be able to get qualifying underway for the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars, and the skies are overcast, but the rain is sort of moving away, and the weather forecast, in fact, the radar looks very good here in the area that this may be moving through, and we're going to be able to get this track dry and get qualifying here on later in the afternoon. We talked about some of the double-duty drivers. We mentioned there were 4 of them. One of them is David Rudiman, trying to get over and run the NASCAR Nationwide Series car, and of course also trying to get his 2nd win of the year in the Sprint Cup car. David won at Charlotte Motor Speedway, at Lowe's Motor Speedway, and on that night for David Rudiman, rain was his friend. He's standing by with Vince.
Yeah, we were talking about we're kind of in his element here as it's raining at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and hey, you take them any way you get them, though. I mean, you don't care that it was raining at Lowe's that night. It's a win,
right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't how you pictured your winning your first race, but
Yeah, it's. I've seen other guys do it and not have any problem with it. So, and we, that day, Rodney Childers made a great call, and we had a pretty good Aaron's Dream machine that day. But, the rain's a little early for us today. I think my timing's a little off when it comes to it. The rain needs to happen at a certain time to benefit us, and it's not benefiting anybody today, I don't think.
How was the Aaron's car yesterday during practice?
We were okay. We started off not all that good, and the guys got it better. And then qualifying trim, we were just a little bit tight and couldn't actually get the speed out of the car we needed. So. I guess we really don't know. In the end, we need some more practice time to get the car sorted out, and I think Rodney and the guys got a pretty good game plan. So we'll go out there, and I'm anxious to get back out there and try it and make some more laps.
Doc mentioned you're doing double duty this weekend. Obviously, raining here, ORP just a few miles away, so they're having weather as well. How does that jumble your schedule? How are you sorting through that from a mental perspective?
Well, I mean, we're just trying to wait and see what happens as it goes, because obviously the tracks are so close that if one track's having a problem, chances are the other one is too. So don't exactly know what the schedule is going to be like over there, or over here for that matter. So time will tell, and if something happens and they have to adjust the schedules around, we just need to make sure that I wasn't going to get a chance to qualify the nationwide car anyway today, and I was hopefully going to get a chance to qualify it, and that was going to be the best I could possibly do. And now we may not even have a chance to qualify it, so it's just one of those deals where you show up. You could just go over there and show up, start dead last, and race it. And if that's what happens, that's how it goes. But in the end, we just have to wait and see how this still works out.
Could there be any more different tracks than ORP at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the small oval and then the big oval here?
Yeah, two completely ends of the spectrum there. But both really cool racetracks, and ORP seems to, is obviously just a short track. It's got that short track feel and bumping and banging and all that. And you come over here, it's a totally different thing. Big, flat, spread out kind of oval, very, very fast. So it's cool to have two different racetracks that are so different from each other in close proximity to one another, where you can just kind of bounce back and forth race. It's pretty cool.
Speaking of two different racetracks in close proximity, had an opportunity earlier this week to experience two different race cars within close proximity of one another, riding in the two-seater Indy car with Ryan Briscoe of Team Penske, and riding in the two-seater stock car with Sam Hornish Jr. And here's a little bit of that experience.
Tuck your legs all the way down inside, and your head's going in last.
Sam, how similar is this to the car you actually drive on Sunday?
I think it's probably a little bit lighter just because of the fiberglass body, but a little bit less horsepower, but makes it go around the corner a little bit better.
Well, you're one of the few guys that still around, that's been around this place in both kinds of cars. How would you compare the two?
I don't know if I can. I mean, they're so much different. The cars, obviously, are heavier, slide around a little bit more. The one thing that I had to say about it is, even though you're going about 40 miles an hour slower, it feels like you're going about 50 miles an hour faster.
What's the difference on race day here for a driver who's run both of these events?
I remember coming out here for my first race and being able to walking out onto the and seeing how everything's kind of came alive with it being full, and all the colors, people standing up, sitting down, moving around. It's like, I know when I get off 465 how close I am, and it starts being that feeling already. And it's only 3 days. It's 3 days before the race, and you don't have all this other activity, but I just feel like kind of a little bit more of a kid again.
Who's gonna win at the stripe? It's Hornish wins.
Having experienced the greatest thrill in an Indy car here, winning the Indy 500, do you allow yourself to dream about what it might be like to win the Brickyard 400?
It would probably, it means a lot. It means a tremendous amount. Probably one of the biggest things that would go through my head is to be able to win here in two different forms. I mean, there's guys that have driven both, but nobody has won in both kinds of the Indy cars and the stock cars. And I don't think I can put it into words what it would mean.
And Sam, standing here watching that video clip of you winning one of the closest finishes with Marco Andretti, and you said it never gets old. What's it like looking at that and remembering back to the memory you have here?
Well, it's definitely good to be on the good end of that, and it's just unbelievable. Something that I never thought that I'd have an opportunity. I had been here probably for 9 or 10 Indy 500s before I ever had an opportunity to race in one. It's kind of the big family thing to do each year. I always enjoyed that. And the only goal I ever had when I started racing was someday just to come to Indianapolis and qualify. So it wasn't anything about running there 8 times or winning or anything like that. So to be able to look at that, that was so far beyond what I ever thought that I would achieve. That I mean, it's a very, very proud moment.
You always hear everybody talk about, our own Dale Jarrett was talking about the other day, driving through the tunnel here and what it's like and how it's different than any other place. But driving through the tunnel, walking into the garage, as a stock car driver now, how does that differ?
Well, it's actually a little bit more fun now. When I was here, for the 500, after the first year or so, it became so nerve-wracking for me. I was very much felt sick to my stomach for about 3 weeks because I wanted to do so well. I wanted to win. Really, the only year that I really felt comfortable the whole time was 2007 because I didn't have to worry about winning. That was probably the funnest year that I had at the Speedway, and we didn't win that year, but finished in the top 5 and had a really good run and were strong all throughout the month. So now this is more like being a fan again. It's like I get to come here for 3 days. I get to really enjoy being in Indianapolis and not have to feel like I'm, have all this pressure on me. Of course, I want to go out there and win. I want to do well, but when it comes down to it, it's not 3 weeks of gut wrenching, the whole time, I guess.
Hey, and it was fun getting to watch you take our own Vince Welch around. Okay, student?
Yeah, he did okay. He didn't scream at all, at least I could hear, but the engine's pretty loud. But, I give everybody the same ride, and you'd be surprised. There's little ladies that want to go faster and big burly guys that want to go slower, so it depends on the person.
All right, thanks, Sam. It's good to see Sam Hornish back here. 2006 Indy 500 winner, Doc.
Jamie, second closest finish in Indy 500 history that year. You saw the move on Marco Andretti, 63 1/1000ths of a second. Now, here are the 6 drivers who have competed in the Indianapolis 500 and the 2 that have won it, who are also trying to qualify for this year's Brickyard 400 field. Now, one of those, John Andretti, was in the very first Brickyard 400 and will be making his 21st start at this racetrack. Vince?
21 starts. This Doc was just saying this will be your 21st start here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Man, you're getting old.
Well, I just saw where it said former Indy 500 drivers. I just drove the Speedway this year. I'm no former about it. No, but I love being here. This is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and anything that happens here, rain or shine, is just great to be here.
We were just visiting with Sam Hornish. Jamie was talking with Sam and talking to some of the differences between being here in a stock car and being here in an Indy car. How about from your perspective, what's the biggest difference in the seat as you go around in those 2 different types of machines?
I don't know. To me, it doesn't even seem like the same racetrack in a lot of ways. It drives so different. You get down to the corner in the Indy car, you're knowing I can't lift. In the stock car, it's knowing when you got to lift and try not to give up too much, and then carry as much speed as you can. So to me, it drives totally different in both race cars. But when you get out, you're still in the same great place. And you drive back to the garages with the stock cars, and the Indy cars, you only got to go to pit road.
We've been talking a lot, of course, about the weekend, and hopefully we get some track activity in today. What's the number 1 item on your guys' agenda in regards to preparing for this race on Sunday?
I'd love to get some more track time. We like to get some more track time on the Taco Bell Chevrolet, in the sense that yesterday we're trying things and we didn't get all the way where we wanted to be. We got a few things we wanted to try today. We threw them in for qualifying because we didn't know if we might just get qualifying in, and at least we can try them in then. So we're not quite sure where we're at, but we know in the race that we'll just plan a lot of adjustments anyway if we have to. But one thing to say is Goodyear did a great job with the tire. It's really nice, and everything was working out well.
Okay, now we're going to take a look. I want you to look at the monitor here that we have next to the camera, because I think we've fixed it. Yeah, see, former's off, so we've taken care of you already.
There you go. That's perfect. Well, the other guys are all former. But I guess the 2 highlighted guys have to be the winners, right?
You want your name in white there, don't you, with Juan? And what would it mean to win at Indianapolis for an Andretti like yourself?
Well, at least taken out of the black, But no, it means everything. Obviously, my family has been here a long time and only have 1 500 victory. Michael has led more laps than some of the 4-time winners. Been here plenty of times with plenty of us. One year we had 4 of us in here, so even stacking the deck hasn't worked that well, but we still keep coming back because of how much it does mean.
It might be a long shot, but boy, it's always popular to see an Andretti at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Doc.
Always great to see John. Of course, his uncle Mario, a winner here. And talk about legends and legendary names at Indianapolis. Richard Petty. Wow, the last time John Andretti won, he was driving for the King. Back in a moment. An army of track drying vehicles out on Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we are in earnest now trying to get the track dry. We told you a little bit ago that it looks like the weather forecast is improving here. The radar didn't show any impending storms in and around the area, so we're hoping to get the track dry and be able to get qualifying underway. We brought coverage from here yesterday with the first practice section, and there's the top 10. And late in that session, it was Greg Biffle driving for Roush Fenway, who was at the top of the speed charts, and the Biff over 177 miles an hour.
Yeah, it looked like he was more in qualifying trim there, and good effort. But things picked up in the second practice session. Greg Biffle joins us now. You picked up about 3/10, but a lot of other guys picked up a lot more.
Yeah, I was really excited after that first practice. I thought, man, we might have a chance at this thing, but I thought more guys were in qualifying trim in that first one, or at least made a run at the end of it. But we did pick up for the second one, but not as much as the other guys did. And our first time out, we were on scuffs, of course, the set of tires, and we ran 2/10 quicker. So I thought we'd put stickers on and pick up even more. And we didn't really pick up that much more. So we ended up 20th in that second practice session, but I think we have a little bit more left.
We talked about how technically challenging this racetrack is, Greg, and we talked to Mark Martin a little bit ago, and our crew chiefs are talking about how tough it is to set up. For you as a driver, where does this track rank in terms of degree of difficulty for qualifying and racing?
Well, certainly qualifying, this is one of the toughest places because you're approaching the corner so fast. And the corner is, you can't really see where you need to be, at first, when you first turn in. So, things are going by in a hurry, and you have to turn in. And that split second of turn in, sets the whole corner up because you can't open the wheel up and then turn again. If you turn too early, you're going to get down on those bumps. The car's going to bounce and move up, and then you're not going to be able to go to the gas soon enough. So it's very important to get, a good, qualifying is very technical.
What is your take on, we've talked about this tire and we've talked about this tire. As far as going and making a qualifying effort, does it have a tremendous amount of grip that you feel like that you can really lean on it that much?
It is. We've beaten this tire issue up a lot, but, for merit because of last year. But this tire is so good. That's what's amazing. Last year's tire obviously wasn't very good, but this tire, they've done such a great job. This tire is perfect. So far. Testing, I ran out of gas going down the front stretch, lap 30, and tire had great rubber on it. It's got a lot of grip qualifying. The only thing that we haven't been is side by side with guys. Is the only issue.
That was the question that I was going to ask. Now with the double file restarts, is this tire going to allow you guys to get down through turn 1 and get to turn 2? Because we're having a little debate on whether we're going to have a little problem in turn 1 or turn 2 if nobody's going to give, but will it allow some side by side racing?
I think so. I think so. And what it's going to be is that guy on the outside is going to have to give that guy on the bottom a little bit of room. And obviously the bottom is the place to be. So I don't know how bad the guys on the top are going to get beat up at the beginning of the run. But, we're going to have to wait and see. I'm curious to see. But if I have my choice right now, I'm picking the bottom. But we'll have to wait and see in the race.
You spent a lot of time up here testing for Goodyear and being involved in all that. How much do you think that helps you coming in here to this weekend, especially with the weather like we've got right now?
That's a big concern. I think Goodyear is nervous about is what the track's going to do when it rains on it like this, and if it does take some rubber off it. But the track conditions when we tested here very hot, similar to what it would be racing, and the tires were great. But I think that they have a pretty good handle on what they're going to do on this green racetrack too. And we got some practice sessions, and if need be, they throw a competition caution at the beginning of this race. I really think the tire is a non-issue.
Well, the good news is, as you said, the tire is great here in 2009. The bad news is, in 2008 at the Brickyard, it was all about disappointment and deflation.
Sunday's run at the Brickyard, a bust.
Worst single day NASCAR has had in 10, 15, 20 years. Horrible.
What turned this high-profile race into a caution-filled mess?
You don't go to a race and expect the race to be run in 10 to 12 laps.
Was it the track, or the tires, or the cars, or the track tires and cars?
It's race day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the fans are pouring through the gates.
Fired up. There you go. He says, we got a plan. Good to go.
Everybody, let's keep our heads in the game. We don't have any idea what's going to happen.
Everybody was on pins and needles that day.
And then, of course, it all just unraveled.
Try to pin him now. Take tires. Go.
Oh, tire just comes apart.
Right rear is done.
Worried looks on crew chiefs' faces.
You kind of have these hopes that, okay, maybe that was one instance, maybe this is just two circumstance. Get to be more and more, you think, man, this can't be happening.
Got a real bad vibration. What was the damage on my car? Right rear was completely gone.
It was just a situation where all of the circumstances were perfect, but just unbelievable tire wear.
It's like it's happening and you don't want it to happen.
My right rear's forward. Can I come now or not? If you need to come, you come.
Right now, these guys are just holding on and hoping that something like this doesn't happen to them.
It just felt like an explosion.
It sounded like a bomb blew up.
Store the whole right side off the car, Chip. The whole right side's gone.
It was pathetic. Last year's a bad race to talk about.
When the caution flag flies, you know something's not good. And there was a lot of that.
It is what it is. Don't complain. It's what we have.
Yeah, that's Robin Pemberton walking right there. And he's concerned, I'll guarantee. He's going to talk to these guys, look at the situation.
You never really understand the gravity of the situation at first, but then the more you start talking about it, you realize, oh no, what is it going to be like for our fans?
Hey, tell Goodyear I want a refund, at least half-price tickets next year.
Have you seen the movie The Groundhog Day?
Caution's out.
It was like watching the same thing, but you had to start over, and then you'd watch it again.
I feel bad for the fans. This is too bad. This is how this is going down. I will let you know as soon as they tell me on the next competition caution.
Jimmy Johnson's been the guy to beat throughout the day.
We're going to get down here inside of 10 laps to go, and then it's going to be about the driver and the machine and who wants this the most.
This stop could win or lose it all.
Here they come. Take two like everybody else and just go for it. Get tired.
This one was for all the marbles.
Go, take it in. Clear out, yes.
An amazing pit stop for Jimmy Johnson.
Up, guys. Nice call.
Those last 10 laps, it was a big relief knowing that we could race for the win.
Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards, mano a mano.
I knew I was going to have my hands full.
Just you and him.
Jimmy Johnson becomes a two-time winner at the Brickyard.
You guys are the best, man. That's all there is to it. Thank you, boys. I hate to turn down this compliment from you, buddy, but I think you're the one that's the best. I've never seen anything better than that.
And the completion of what has been a bizarre race day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Well, the numbers from a year ago were impressive or maybe depressive, depending upon your point of view. There were 11 caution flags, 6 competition yellows, a record 52 laps run under the yellow flag, and of course the longest green flag stretch, a mere 13 laps because of the tire issues. And we are visiting with Greg Biffle, who lived through that a year ago. Greg managed a top 10 finish. Greg, what was it like for you as a driver to try to survive that kind of ugly afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, we knew right going in before the race started that tire management was going to be the whole key. And so when the green flag came out, I just simply stayed, tried to keep up with the car in front of me with using the least amount of throttle as I could on corner exit. I'd roll the car down in the corner and pick the throttle up real easy. And then after about 6 laps, guys started to fade, and I'd just start passing them one after another. And, it was a part of that was kind of fun from the driver's seat because we were in control of our tires, and how to conserve them. And I never had a tire issue under, in that race. So it was a matter of, how much gas to give it and how much tire I had left. And I'd push the issue a little bit and then ask the guys, how much tire did I have left? And I'd use that to regulate how hard to run.
What if NASCAR had not thrown all of the competition yellows last year? What kind of race would we have seen then?
Well, probably, everybody would have pitted under green, and it might have got, pretty exciting, but I think still guys would have stayed out until the right rear quarter panel left. And, I would have rather...
Still have caution.
Yeah, you still have a caution to pick the debris up, but I'd rather seen them leave the green out and just pit and manage your tires. And, because we would have been able to go 15 or 16 laps, I think, for sure.
I want to go forward to tomorrow and talking about something that you alluded to a while ago, these double file restarts. And I know drivers have differing opinions about how they like it and how they don't like that. But you talked about turn 1, the outside guy going to have to give the inside guy a little bit of room on that. As this race winds down tomorrow, though, that gap gets a lot less, doesn't it? And kind of opens up a lot of different scenarios. The guy in 3rd, 4th, 5th having an opportunity to get 3 and maybe 4 wide.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to get 3 or 4 wide in that short shoot. But when that next corner comes, all bets are off. There's only so much asphalt to the concrete wall, and Yeah, I mean, what happens normally, a lot of the drivers that run it up front are conscious enough to know that if you run down on that guy getting in the corner at 200, there's a good possibility you're going to get him loose and you're going to take yourself out.
Right.
And you're going to be in the fence. So you got to be conscious of how much do I push this issue with this guy on the inside, and the guy on the inside is going to have to know, hey, I'm going to have to, leave myself a little extra grip there on speed, because I know this guy's going to be down on top of me. So it's going to be a cat and mouse, like you said, exactly at that last run of the day.
Our special guest here in the pit studio, Greg Biffle, who is standing by to qualify for his 7th Brickyard 400 as we are standing by to get the track dry and get qualifying underway. When we come back, we'll show you where Greg Biffle goes to get away when he needs to relax. The legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There is the pylon. You know about the yard of bricks. 100 years old. The track opened back in 1909. Stock cars have been coming here since 1994. And unfortunately, the king of stock car racing retired in 1992 and didn't get to race here. But this past May, he was able to have a special memory as an open wheel owner, bringing a car to the Indy 500 and the yard of bricks. Richard Petty with our Vince Welch.
Yeah, it was great to see King Richard here in the month of May at the Indianapolis 500 with John Andretti. What was that experience like for you as a car owner to be here at Indianapolis?
Well, it was really neat. We came last year when John was running, and we wasn't really that involved. But once you come to a race, and no matter what it is, whether it's Saturday night race or not, if you know somebody or you're involved, then you get more involved in the race. So coming up here this time, I was totally involved in the thing, so made it that much more exciting.
Is that something we might see more of in future years?
Well, you can't never know. We're working on some stuff for next year, and hopefully we can do a little bit better next year than we did this year. But, the way the economy is, we don't really know. But John's out there every day working on different situations. I told him I'd go along with whatever he could come up with.
During your driving career, did you have any interest in driving the Indianapolis 500? I know A.J. Foyt and Mario Andretti came over to Daytona some, but did you have any interest as a driver in coming over to run the Indianapolis 500?
Well, the situation was that I owned my own team, and it was a family operation. I couldn't afford to go anywhere else. If I'd have went somewhere else and come up here and run, then we'd have to hire a driver, and then there goes all our profit. So, I never really thought. I think I come up here one time in '65 or something and looked around Fort's car and said, "This ain't for me." But no interest at all in coming. I like to watch the races, but as far as being involved in them, I never thought about it.
Hey, by the way, guys, I just want to make sure and point out that this isn't dry ice that we have to add dramatic effect for the interview with Richard Petty, but it's lunchtime here in the garage area in the haulers, and so they've really got the grill working over here, and we're being smoked out. But Richard, always the smart one, he's got the glasses on that keeps the smoke from getting in the eyes here at lunchtime. Casey Kane won earlier this year. You were the first one in the victory lane to congratulate him. What did that mean for you?
It was a big deal. It's been 8 to 10 years since Petty had won a race, Petty Enterprise. I think the last one was John in '99 or some kind of deal at Martinsville. And, we knew we had all the stuff together. We just needed the circumstances to flow our way. And, he done an excellent job on the road course, and he's not really a road course driver as far as what his finishes had been. He is a road racer, but it hadn't showed up. And all of a sudden, everything came together on that one day. Car was good, he was good, the crew was good. It was just circumstances that really shined on the Petty operation, and it just makes it all feel good. And we knew we had the stuff to do it with. That just proves that, hey, if we get everything together and do our job, then we can win races.
How about if it would all come together for a Petty organization here at Indianapolis? What would that mean to you this weekend?
That'd just be unreal. Casey always runs good here. We got our other drivers that have run in, and some of them have run here, some hadn't. So the big deal is just, is it our day? Okay, we're going to do everything we can to make it our day, but then the circumstances come in beyond our control. Sometimes you just flat get out and run, and then other times you're running good and then you have trouble. So the deal is just putting a good day together like we did in California.
Well, thanks for interrupting your lunch to come out and visit with us.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's Richard Petty. Doc.
A 7-time Cup champion Richard Petty. Boy, how special would it be to see the King, maybe that 43 car go to victory lane at a legendary place like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We talk about championships and looking at the points race right now. There are 7 races remaining until the chase begins. Our guest, Greg Biffle. And Greg, you were 9th in the points a couple of weeks ago. You've had some troubles the last couple of weeks, and now you're just 13th. You're outside that chase cutoff. Do you think about the chase, or can you focus on the race here on Sunday?
Well, certainly we're thinking about the chase all the time, and unfortunately right up to a weekend off, I fall from 9th to 12th or 13th, so that gave me a lot to think about for 2 weeks coming back here. I know we run good here, and I'm looking forward to this race getting back in. I think this is a racetrack where we can, and we're up against some tough guys that got a lot of momentum right now. Casey's running good, Juan Pablo's running good, and Mark Martin's running good, and those are the guys we have to beat to get in the chase. We're going to have to flat run better than them to get in the chase, and that's what we need to do, and I think we're capable of it. It's just, we've had some unfortunate races.
And Greg, that was a question I wanted to ask you. Roush Fenway or Ford as a group has not been as sharp as they were last year. Is it because the other teams have picked up? I mean, what are you guys working on? Is it the fact that Ford hasn't introduced their new motor yet and the other manufacturers have that? It's just not as sharp as last year.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. I was just in Jack's bus talking with him a little bit ago, and we are just off a little bit as an organization. We know that, and we can't pinpoint exactly what it is. In fact, we went to Chicago last year, and we were the fastest in qualifying practice. Prior to qualifying, got rained out. This year, same exact setup, same tire, same everything, and we're 25th. And is it the other guys picked up, or have we lost a little bit of grip? But we went back with exactly what we had a year ago, and it was just not as fast. So I mean, we're scrambling right now to pick it up, and we don't think it's engine. Doug and those guys are doing a great job with the engine, but yes, we'll be a little bit better when we get the new Ford engine in.
So much pressure on a driver, not only to win the race week after week, but now to make the chase here, to be able to be a part of the championship hunt here down the stretch in 2009. So with all that pressure on a driver, where does Greg Biffle go to get away, to relax?
All good ranches have names. And the name of this one's the Triple B Ranch. We're in what they call the South Mountains. This tract of land is 1,153 acres, mostly undeveloped, other than I've built a tremendous amount of trails, which I enjoy doing. And then everything that we built on the land are materials from the property, like all these rails you see, all the masonry, the rock steps, and the rocks on the fireplace and on the building down at the cabin was actually kind of fun, because it's like scavenger hunt, and I love being outside and doing things. Our latest project was I've always dreamed about having a gas station, old-time gas station, and I cleared the little spot with the dozer where we were going to put it. I love to fabricate and built race cars for about 6 years, so I enjoy welding and fabricating. For instance, the screen on the fireplace, I built those in my shop. I built all the brackets for the beams that we built. I welded those up actually about 3 weeks ago. Oh! In the fall and all through the winter and the spring, I enjoy being up here every day doing stuff. And it's always that time of the year getting ready for Daytona and your Daytona testing. I'm up here dreading that the season's getting ready to start. So, but it's what I enjoy. I enjoy getting away, I enjoy nature. And now it's kind of my passion. A lot of people do different stuff. People enjoy going to New York or going to the beach, but I enjoy coming here and doing some of this.
What a great place to get away. Do you get a chance to get there much during the season? Can you sneak off a little bit?
Yeah, I can sneak off a little bit. I like it, in the through the summer months, pretty hot up there, but I like it up until the fall. It's beautiful there, and then in the springtime. But that's instead of going to the gym, I go there, find something to do to keep myself in shape, and I really enjoy it. We're having a charity event there October 20th, so I've invited about 10 drivers, and we're gonna have a bunch of sponsors and people to come and do a sporting clay shoot and ride the trails and do some things like that. I talked to DJ about doing a longest drive and closest to the pin competition I'm setting up in the field down below. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
So you're going to have DJ Woods there to be able to hit the golf ball?
Yep. He's the best golfer in the garage, so We've
That's not saying much about the golf game around here, if that's the case.
We've picked him to come and help us. So,
hey, we know you got to get back over to the garage. I want to ask you before we let you go here, predictions on Sunday. We know last year everybody was worried about tires. What's the number one thought about in the drivers, among the drivers, that's going to happen on Sunday? What's the key to winning this race for you guys?
Well, certainly track position is going to be a key, and we know the double file restarts are going to be an issue. So that's number one. Pit stops are going to be really important, and I don't think tires are going to be any kind of an issue. I think the tire issue is going to be, do we take 2, do we take 4, or do we take none? That's going to be the issue for the strategy for Sunday. I think that that's going to be the winning call is what position, and then do I start on the bottom or the top on the restart?
Well, that is certainly great news that tires were going to be a part of the strategy, not a part of the story here at Indianapolis. Greg Biffle, good luck to you on Sunday, and we'll see if indeed the Biff can win the Brickyard 400 on Sunday. Standing by in the garage, hoping to be able to get these cars rolled out to qualify. Back in just a moment. Here at the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we are set to qualify for the 16th running of the Brickyard 400. Unfortunately, Mother Nature hasn't cooperated much this morning. We hope to be able to get that legendary yard of bricks crossed numerous times by some 46 cars that are poised in the garage area to try to set the field here in NASCAR Sprint Cup competition. The Cup cars have been coming to this racetrack since 1994, but they've been coming to Indianapolis since 1982, and it was the NASCAR Nationwide Series cars that first came to Indiana, and they were over at O'Reilly Raceway Park, where our Marty Reed is standing by to be able to call the action tonight for the Nationwide Series. And Marty, what's the situation there? Are you guys getting a little drier than we are here? Okay.
Okay.
And
all right, Doc, thanks very much. As we're over here getting everything dried out and getting ready for tonight's race, and we may win our little side contest between you guys, obviously, because we're a little bit shorter as far as distance. It's a little easier for us to dry. They're talking maybe as early as 1 o'clock that we'll have cars out on the racetrack. Now, excuse me, as we show you Ron Hornaday, one of the reasons we want to talk about Ron, if you were watching last night's Camping World Truck Series race, that man right there made history. He became the first ever in the Truck Series to win 4 straight races. He's in the 33, holding off the number 5 of Mike Skinner, taking the checkered flag. And Skinner had stopped just 35 laps earlier for tires, and Hornaday still held him off. And Shannon Spake has caught up with the 4-time winner.
Well, of course, we're coming down to us just as the jet dryers are going by, so we'll scream a little bit. All right, there we go. Last time we were with Ron Hornaday was at Milwaukee. We were celebrating your birthday. And tonight, of course, we're celebrating the 4 wins in the Truck Series. I know you've accomplished so much in your career, but where does that rank, that 4th win in a row?
I don't know where it ranks. It just says a lot for KHI and everybody over there. I mean, it's pretty cool to be able to accomplish that with the nowadays with the competitors and everything else we have in the Truck Series. But it was pretty cool. I mean, Skinner gave me a run, and I said, Colin Brown. I mean, he was so awesome. He was pretty courteous. He had a better truck and rolled through the center. So I don't know. Got that trophy though. That's all that counts.
This 33 car was very fast last week. Kevin Harvick in the car was very happy. Says he feels that he's caught up to the Gibbs guys. And of course, this is your week. How much confidence do you have coming into this race, a place where you won last night and have won before in the Nationwide Series?
Well, Ernie Cope and the guys, I mean, they built a great car. And since Ernie's been over there, it's been a lot of fun to work with everybody over there. And this will be my 2nd time running it. And we've learned a bunch. When I drove it at Milwaukee, the car was good on long runs. And we're going to change that a little bit. We're going to try to make it so it's a medium car, so we can get going on the starts and everything, especially with this double file restart. Since you brought it up, I forgot about. We do it in Nationwide, and it's pretty cool to have plastic pickles on the side of this Monte Carlo, and looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
All right, Ron Hornaday in the 33 car this weekend. Of course, this is the same car that won at Bristol with Kevin Harvick behind the wheel. Marty?
All right, Shannon, he has 4 wins here, 3 in the trucks, including last night, and also 1 here in 2000 back in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Jack, I think you have caught up with a guy who has won here about a dozen times, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Marty, and long before NASCAR arrived here, this was the hotbed of short track racing, the connection to the big track. Guys like A.J. Foyt, Parnelli Jones, they used to race here. And Mike Bliss, well, he blistered a lot of people here in those days as well. Mike, is there a home field advantage when you come and run on a short track that you're so familiar with?
You know, I don't know. Like you said, I've been running here a lot.
That just means you're old, you know.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not going to say what date was my first race here, but you know, this track really taught, I think, a lot of us, Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman's, Jason Leffler, they told us how to drive and how to be fast, I guess.
Why was that? What's the configuration? What does it do to teach you?
It's a momentum track. The corners are so long, straightaways are short, and we drove midgets, Silver Crown, sprint cars. We drove a lot of different cars here. It just kept you, it taught you how to keep your momentum up through the middle of the corner, and I think it taught us a lot. And also in traffic, you know, we're always in traffic racing here, so everything happened fast here, but it taught me a lot about driving.
We got double file restarts tonight in this race, a little bit different than you're used to in USAC, a little different certainly than you're used to in NASCAR. Have you thought a lot about it?
Well, not till you just start talking about it. I was worried about last week. We really didn't have a problem last week, but we didn't have a lot of yellows. It's going to be tough. It makes it interesting, but all in all, I think I'd rather be starting side by side than single file. If you're running 10th, now you're running a 5th in line. And being on the outside here is probably a plus when it comes to that double file start.
See, Marty, now that's a real short track racer.
I'll tell you, last year, if you remember, he fell back to 31st and came back to finish 3rd. He knows how to get around this track. Let's take you on the Google map and show you where we're at from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and then you move over to Clermont, and there we are at O'Reilly Raceway Park. It's about 10 miles. Now, let's talk about the size of this place, and you get an idea here. We're 5/8 of a mile, and of course the Brickyard is 2.5 miles. Here's the statistic that is really interesting. At the bottom of the page, it would take 18 O'Reilly Raceway Parks to fit inside Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's how big the big track really is. All right, let's bring in Rusty Wallace and Randy LaJoy. Talk a little bit more about short track racing.
Tell you, everybody has cut their teeth in short tracks. There's no doubt about that. Almost every driver out there started on the short tracks. They probably had more fun in their life on the short tracks. And all the fans, a lot of fans went to the Saturday night races, Friday night races, things like that, guys. So everybody's got to start somewhere. And that's one thing that's so special about this particular track, O'Reilly Raceway Park. It's a 5/8 mile racetrack. They root and they gouge, they bang and hit each other. I mean, it's going to see this all night long. And the fans love that style of racing.
And the man on the far side over there, you've won this twice, and I know you hate having to go back and relive this.
Anytime you relive a win, it's awesome. You know, won twice here. This is Indianapolis. This is a racing town. This is the racing town equivalent to Daytona Beach. And anytime you can win in Indianapolis, let me tell you something, put your name in the book. You're the best here. You're on the papers the next day. And this is, you know, a racetrack we all grown up watching. Thursday night, the old Thursday Night Thunder shows here made Jeff Gordon what he is. It plucked him out of here and brought him into there. So anytime you can win at a short track, but in Indianapolis, man, that's awesome.
And he also went on to win the championship both those years. Get you an update on fishing. And did we catch anything besides a cold? I don't know. It looks it. There we go. Oh, it's makeshift and waiting for the bobber. Oh, yeah, we did catch something. There we go. Yeah. A fishing license, guys, is $9, or otherwise we'll see you in jail later tonight. All right, we're going to remind you that we have racing this evening here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. We get on the air at 7:30 Eastern with Countdown. 2 years ago, Jason Leffler picked up Toyota's first ever win here in the Nationwide Series, and he hasn't won since, and he's won here 7 times in his career. All right, Doc, we're going to send it back towards you, and we still got our little side action going. I think we may get on the track with cars before you guys do. What's at stake, by the way, dinner?
Whatever you want. I mean, you know that you live here. I mean, wherever you want to take me is fine, Marty. I'm not particular. Hey, you know, the priority here at this racetrack is to try to get qualifying. That's the #1 priority. NASCAR has already said we're going to sit here and we're going to wait to get these cars qualified. Now, what about over where you are? I guess the priority there has to be able to get those cars on the track for practice first.
Yes, and that's what they're going to try and do, because you guys did get practice yesterday. They want to get everybody out there, so our first priority will be to get practice. If we get qualifying in, so be it. If not, we'll start on points.
All right, Marty, we'll be standing by to watch your coverage later today, practice, and, of course, live flag-to-flag coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series race tonight from O'Reilly Raceway Park. Kyle Busch, who picked up his 6th win of the season last week in Gateway, a 212-point points lead over Carl Edwards, who has the 1 win in 2009 at Milwaukee. And, by the way, Joey Logano, 5th in the points. When we come back, Sliced Bread will join us here at the Brickyard. So don't go away. We are standing by at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, hoping to be able to get qualifying underway. And we keep telling you the radar looks good, and there are people now out walking around because the rains have moved away. Track is drying. It is a flat racetrack, and it takes a while to dry, but NASCAR is hopeful of getting qualifying in here later today. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, it was a rainy day, sort of like today, that turned into a landmark day for a very talented rookie named Logano.
This is one of those kind of murky days. We're not going to have a whole lot of sunshine.
Rain could be a factor. Is anybody going to play the weather game?
Everybody's ready to race, man. I've never seen guys warm their tires up so much in my life. Everybody is expecting a little bit of rain. People are going to try to stay up front as much as possible here. It's going to be a little rain coming probably at some point. We're going to wait it out and hopefully be up front when it happens.
Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon about to lead the field to the green.
They head down the front stretch and take the green flag.
Gordon giving absolutely no ground on the top side of the racetrack. They take that top spot away from Stewart.
You know, we're pretty damn good.
Here they go for the lead off of turn 2. Kurt Busch to the inside of Jeff Gordon.
And Q-Car, if he pushes me up out of the groove, he better make sure he does it all the way because he's not going to make the next corner.
Clouds starting to darken a little bit here. I know that's going to play into the mindset of these crew chiefs and these drivers.
I can't come off the corner to save my life. I'm just sideways. The racetrack's a little damp here. I mean, we got that light mist, so just hang in there.
Trouble in turn 2. 2 cars tangling in the process.
Joey Logano with a flat left rear tire brings out the caution flag.
He just freaking, like, what the hell?
Trouble! Martin Truex is trying to collect several cars.
Don't normally see this kind of accident at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Wow, that was a damn mess right there watching on TV. We definitely know who the one car's mad at now. That would be the 18.
Joey Logano got the lucky dog free pass under this caution.
It's go time for all these drivers.
Tony Stewart races to the inside of Jeff Gordon. Your new leader is Tony Stewart.
You got rain coming on the way too, so just keep digging for everything you got.
At some point, very, very soon, the leaders are going to have to make a green flag pit stop.
3, 2, 1, right here. 4 tires of gas, guys. Nice.
That's only a couple of seconds that he got hung up on that right front, but that's 5 spots.
Go, clear, clear, get it.
Ryan Newman now is being shown as the race leader.
About 14 laps till we pit. The rain's real close. 10-4, we miss safe fuel. You can do that. I don't know. I'd run like hell, old man. Amount of fuel coming in, amount of fuel.
Ryan Newman now on the pit road. He is going to surrender the lead. Joey Logano on point, begging for the upset.
Save fuel for me. You got to save fuel. We're good for about 3 to 5 laps there. Stay in front of that too. The 20's going to have to pit. You'll be the leader. There's no way he's got much fuel in that thing. Caution's out. Caution is out.
The rain is here.
How many lucky dogs did he get today? Couple. Keep your fingers crossed. Say a prayer. Go spinning it out now. Racetrack's wet. You ain't kidding.
NASCAR has declared the race official. Congratulations to Joey Logano, the youngest Sprint Cup winner ever.
What a day for Joey Logano, who became the youngest winner in NASCAR Sprint Cup history at 19 years, 1 month, and 4 days. And Joey, do you still pinch yourself to believe that you've already won at the age of 19 in NASCAR's premier division?
Yeah, I still do every once in a while, but you guys know you go just so fast in the sport, and 1 week you're on top, next week you're on the bottom, so you try to enjoy it as much as you can, but you're right back racing again, next week. So
take us back to that day in the second half of the race. So we talked earlier about how Danny Sullivan spun and won at Indianapolis. I mean, you were able to spin on a 1 mile racetrack and come back and win. What was the second half of that race like?
It was awesome. I mean, I think at the end of the race, we finally got some good lap times going. After we spun out, after we got everything back under control, got the lucky dog, and got some good lap times going. And then the rain started coming. We had more fuel than everyone else because we pitted and that big wreck, and it had all that mess. So we had a little bit more fuel and was able to go just a little bit longer and hopefully it rained, and it worked out just right. I mean, we got lucky. I'm sure I'm going to lose a lot more that way than I'm going to win, so I'll take it.
Well, you knew that. We know the race and the great job that you do, but you said the lobster scared the heck out of you.
That thing was huge, man.
You didn't eat them?
No, I didn't eat it. It scared me. The claw was bigger than my head. I mean, it's pretty big.
Joe, we know that you have a lot of talent, and that's been documented, and we can see that on the racetrack. But we've seen a marked improvement in your performance just in the short amount of this year. You attribute a lot of that just to starting to know the cars, your feel, better feedback to the crew and to Greg Zipadelli?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think me getting used to the car is probably one of the biggest things. Just getting used to the way you drive these things. They're so different than the Nationwide car. And then, you go to some of these racetracks that, yeah, maybe I have a couple races at, but it's completely different with this car. It might as well be a new racetrack. So I think that between me and Zippy working better together, kind of know what I want more in a race car, all that kind of adding up, it helps a lot. So like you see, a lot of these places that we go to for the first time, we run good the second half of the race. So, I've been saying it all year. I'm hoping the second half of the year when we come to these places the second time, hopefully we're a lot better.
Have you had to learn how to communicate with Greg or Zippy, or has he had to learn how to communicate with you? How's this worked as far as, he's only really worked with Tony Stewart in his whole career. Now he's working with you, and I'm sure it's a different dynamic. So who's kind of coming to bridge the gap?
I think it's a little bit of both of us. Obviously, yeah, if you work for someone for 10 years, you know exactly what that guy wants, know what he's talking about, so it's completely a new game for him. Yeah, I've worked with a lot of different crew chiefs growing up, going through a lot of different things. I haven't been in one series for a long time, so I haven't been with someone for a long time. So I'm kind of used to that part, and we just work together. And like I said, I think we're getting a lot better. Every week we're getting to know each other better, and it's showing a lot more in our finishes. We got in the top 20 in points, so that's real cool, and hopefully we can get the Home Depot to keep going forward in points.
And that does bring back, when you talk about winning at New Hampshire, that having that guy on that pit box and having that element in your arsenal, that means a lot. You can see how that's going to play in to hopefully a lot more wins for you.
Yeah, it worked out perfect, and that was really the first time we took a gamble and at any racetrack. We've had opportunities that we can stay out and maybe make it to the end. Darlington, we had a real good race car, and we didn't want to chance it. We weren't in the points position to chance it. We'd be out of the top 35 at that time. So, now we're kind of more secure in the points that we can take more risky moves like that, and hopefully they pay off.
You come to this place where it's so much tradition, so much history, but experience makes a big, big difference. And you look at your teammates, and there's not a lot of experience there. Did you go to anybody else? Who's been kind of your driver mentor at a place like this, or when you want to ask a question?
Mike McLaughlin, he's never raced here before, but just having a driver to talk to that goes out in the corner and he can see everything you do compared to everyone else and say, well, try this, try that. I tell you what helps me a lot is that dart fish, which they kind of lay two cars over each other and you can see where you're getting beat, where the lines are, everything like that. That helps me out probably more than anything. So after looking at all that, it helps, but you can't see it till after practice, and you're kind of too late then. So that's what makes it tougher, not being able to test, not being able to see all that stuff and come back the second time. So, it is what it is, I can't do much about that.
Joey, I had a lot of my success much later in my career, much older, ready to handle all of that stuff. I'm just interested to know, what does a 19-year-old think about this series, traveling week to week, driving great race cars, great sponsors? What is your mindset? What do you think about every week with this?
I think it's awesome. It's been my dream since I was little to do this, and to finally get here is so cool, especially racing here at Indy. This is one of the coolest racetracks we go to, and it's just awesome to go around this place and seeing, the grandstands on both sides, going down the straightaway, going over the bricks, and it's like, wow, it's one of the coolest places I think I've ever been around. So it's fun, but I think because I'm 19, I just kind of go with the flow with it all. I think I haven't had enough time to, think, oh wow, I'm just kind of go with it.
Yeah, when Dale and I were 19, we were laying on a dirt floor garage trying to put together an old Nova so we could take it up to the short track and race it. So yeah, you're real lucky to have the opportunities that you've had. You made the most of it.
Very fortunate. Yeah.
Our guest is Joey Logano. When we come back, we'll talk with Joey about filling the shoes that he had to fill of Tony Stewart, a two-time Brickyard 400 winner, and we'll ask him about learning to drive a water truck at the age of 7 at his dad's business.
For the second time, Tony Stewart will take the checkered flag at the Brickyard.
What a great history for Tony Stewart. Take a look at the career for Smoke there. 375 races, 35 wins. And by the way, 33 of those came with Joe Gibbs Racing, as did both of those NASCAR Sprint Cup championships. And that is the car he drove, the 20 car, for 10 years, earning over $65 million. And the guy who drives that car now, no pressure whatsoever on Joey Logano. Joey, talk about stepping into the shoes of someone who is becoming rapidly in this sport a legend, Tony Stewart.
Yeah, it's definitely big shoes to fill for sure going in the season. But, you know, it's something you try not to think about it. You know, I mean, you got to focus on, you know, what's going to make you a better race car driver, what's going to make the Home Depot Toyota run better. And that's really all you can think about. That's all you got to do. But, you know, it's easier said than done.
You know, you and Tony developed a relationship, I guess, last year when you knew you were going to get in the car. I know you did some commercials. He officially handed over the Home Depot steering wheel to you there in some of those spots. But have you been able to go to him and talk to him? I know he's been pretty open about wanting to give young drivers advice.
Yeah, every once in a while, if I see him around, you know, I'll bounce some ideas off him, see what he has to say. But mostly it's, you know, between our teammates, you know, we're all together at the same time anyway. So, you know, it's Kyle, Denny, a lot of people like that around Joe Gibbs Racing is mainly. But, you know, anytime I got a question, I'm driver intros or something, I'll ask anybody. I don't care. Everyone's got the different opinions, and you take what you can from it.
And Joe Gibbs Racing, Joe Gibbs, J.D. Gibbs, do you get to spend a lot of time with the coach? I mean, he's so good at pulling people together, but helping you. Like, he's got so much experience. Does he help you to prepare for what this series is? The travel, you know, just the wear and tear that it puts on you. The media guys pulling you all the time.
Hey, he was trying to warn me before everything started, and I was like, I'll be all right. But, you know, he was right. So yeah, he's a great guy to work for. You know, I actually just started reading his book. He had a new book out, and yeah, I read about 20 pages so far, and it seems really awesome. You know, just to be driving for a guy like that, it's an honor. You know, just, you know, you read this book and you read everything he's done. It's like, wow, I'm involved with this now. So that's pretty neat.
Joey, you've been fortunate to have the talent to win and win a lot at every level that you've been at. Now you're at the Sprint Cup level, and the wins are going to obviously become a little more difficult to achieve. How does that affect your mindset in going into this and looking at how you are successful and how you're learning? Is it difficult to deal with now?
Yeah, but I think I realized going into it that it's going to be tough. You know, I think the Nationwide Series, this series is completely different. I think the amount of drivers out there that can win a race it's unbelievable. Everyone out there can pretty much win a race at any given time. So, you know, knowing that going into it, yeah, it's going to be tough. It makes you work harder, though. It's actually more motivating knowing that to work harder to get these wins. It makes them that much sweeter when you get them.
Do you and your crew chief Zippy, do you hang out together, or is it just a business relationship? I know in my career that it seemed to really help to develop a personal relationship with my drivers, so where we had, you know, we can communicate better. Do you guys have that kind of relationship yet?
Yeah, I think most driver and crew chief relationships have a friendship involved with that. I think our age difference is one thing that keeps us, you know, going out, hanging out. I can't do all that stuff. So
yeah, I kind of had that with Harry Gann. It was the other way around. I was a kid, he was the old man, you know.
Yeah,
but, yeah, there is some of that.
Yeah, but you know, we see each other all the time. You know, where he's at the shop, we go testing together. You know, you're with each other a lot, so you grow a friendship, you know, over the time.
You know, we talked about the fact, we teased people at home and told them the fact that you actually learned to drive when you were 7 years old, and your dad, Tom, put you in a massive, I don't know how many 1,000-pound water truck at his business and just turned you loose. Tell us about that.
Yeah, at his garbage company, he had a gravel kind of parking lot, and all the dumpsters and trucks were parked there. So when the trucks went around, it got real dusty. So had to water it. And after school, I was always bored. I'm like, Pops, give me something to do, you know. And I had a little Civic, and I'd drive around and learn how to drive a stick shift and that. And then he's like, well, try driving this thing, and it's a big old water tanker. And I'm like, I'm 7 years old. I don't care. So I get in there with my orange soda, and I just start driving. And he let out the clutch for me. I couldn't let out the clutch. I couldn't reach the pedals. And he said, just go along. When it runs out of gas, just turn off the key, and it'll stop. And I'm like, all right. So I couldn't stop, couldn't do anything. So I just kind of bombed around there for a day and it stopped. So I don't know. That's just, it's fun, you know. It's the stuff I enjoy doing. I always wanted to drive stuff when I was little. So nothing's changed there.
Well, from water truck to accomplished NASCAR driver, Joey Logano, hey, by the way, congratulations on that win in New Hampshire, and good luck here on Sunday.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks. Next time you get one of those lobsters, bring it in here and share them with us.
All right.
That's just an appetizer for Brad.
Joey Logano leads the Rebestis Rookie of the Year standings, as you might expect, becoming the youngest winner in NASCAR history. There are the standings. Scott Speed, Max Pappas, by the way. We'll talk to Max about his interesting career here as a former IndyCar driver, and, of course, now running a part-time schedule in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And we will invite you to join us back here. Of course, lots of racing to come your way for the weekend. I know the sun's out at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Well, sort of the sun is out, but the track is drying, and we invite you to join us for live coverage on Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Time. Despite the overcast skies, it looks like there we are starting to see some gray in the racetrack there on the inside, and they are continuing to try to dry the racetrack here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The problem is this is a very large facility, 2.5 miles around this massive century-old track. But across town, about 6 miles as the crow flies, the guys are standing by at O'Reilly Raceway Park to get that track dry and maybe get some NASCAR nationwide action underway. Let's go over and check in with Marty Reed.
All right, thanks, Doc. And yes, we are making good progress. I may be getting dinner from you yet tonight, but we'll worry about that a little bit later. Let's talk about some of the guys who have really done well over here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. And you're looking at one, Jason Leffler. He has 7 wins here, and one of those came just 2 years ago. Take a look, as his one and only Nationwide Series win here at O'Reilly Raceway Park came 2 years ago in '07. In fact, it was the very first win for Toyota in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And there he is in the 38 Great Clips and taking the checkered flag. And it was one of those big days, but he has not won since, and he's with Jackaroo.
I want to go back, Jason, and talk a little bit about that historic win, because it could lead us to what it might take to win here tonight. You pitted early on that last sequence and had pretty fresh Goodyear, so I think we called him Dr. Feelgoods that night.
Yeah, we did. Todd Losey at the time was crew chief, and we pitted early, and it paid off. You know, we had a good car all night long, and we were able to just pull it off. It was good. It was a good, hardcore short track race, and got together with Rudiman and beat each other up a little bit, and then was able to get around Biffle. And Biffle was running the top, I was running on the bottom, and it worked out good. But since then, we've been trying to get back to victory lane, and Scott Zipadelli, my new crew chief, and everybody here doing a great job. We've had strong race cars, and we had a strong car last week in a Gateway, just had a little mechanical problem there, and it cost us a top 3 for sure. So we think we can get back.
Rusty Wallace was talking earlier about the fact that when you come to a place like O'Reilly Raceway Park, you have to muscle the car. You have to use it as a weapon, so to speak. How much can you use up before you got nothing left?
Oh, you can use it up here, and when you pass somebody, you just got to get it done, but you can't ding your fenders up too bad, you know. And but when you do pass somebody, you gotta use them up pretty good. So otherwise, you'll just wear your tires out running underneath them, and it's the old IRP slide job, you know. And we got to do it a few times the other night in the midget when I could get a good enough corner in that thing. But I tried other places, and it works pretty good too. But that's one thing it's taught us, all us guys that have raced here a long time. I think when you get passes, you got to make them done and get them done quick.
Well, Jason, you're going to be our in-race reporter tonight, so you're going to have to put up with Rusty and also put up with Randy LaJoie in your headset. And the fans are going to be able to ask some questions by going to ESPN.com. Log on and search Ask the Drivers. So we're going to use you up tonight as well.
That's perfect. I'm ready.
Marty?
All right, I love the confidence. He's got the sunglasses on. I haven't seen the sun yet, but it's coming, hopefully. Hey, there's young Michael Annett. We've talked about this as being one of the opportunity races. We only have 4 Cup regulars coming over and doing double duty. Let's meet this young man and give you an idea of what he's all about.
Hi, I'm Michael Annett. Most people probably wouldn't know that I used to be a professional hockey player growing up, or living my life on a pair of ice skates just because my mom was going to let me race. We went to the national championship and played against Sidney Crosby. I was never very good at scoring goals, so I just started taking people out. I'd usually be the slasher, the tripper, but you know, I usually start the fights and then have a bigger guy come in and bail me out. You know, I was at a racetrack when I was about 3 days old. We scheduled a C-section so we could be at the racetrack Saturday night. I think that's where I got, you know, my love for the sport.
Well, I'm down here with Michael Annett, who I think we need to start calling you the Bruiser. What do you think about that? A bruiser whose mom is pretty dedicated to schedule your birth around racing schedule. So my question is, how did you even get into hockey if racing has been your whole life?
Yeah, like you said, you know, I was at the racetrack the first weekend I was born. They actually scheduled the C-section early in the week to make sure everybody could be at Knoxville Raceway, about 10 minutes from my hometown. But you know, it was just my parents kind of just decided they want to take a different path and get out of the racing business altogether. And had some buddies at the time that were playing hockey, and I think I spent from when I was 5 to about 18 traveling up and down the Midwest with my mom, going to all kinds of different hockey tournaments. If it was in Illinois or Minnesota, Nebraska, just all over the place. And it's kind of funny. We've all come back, the whole family's come back to race, and kind of it seems like that's what was in our blood. And it's just pretty cool that growing up I was able to do both and kind of got to see a different sport that maybe some other kids haven't.
Well, let's talk about this race in particular. You're coming off one of your best finishes last week at Gateway. How would you assess the season so far and your growth in this series?
I think everybody on our team's just a little bit disappointed the way it started. We had some really bad luck early on and kind of put us behind the 8 ball in the beginning, but these past couple months, I've just seen a huge change in all the guys. Our cars are getting a lot better just from, especially a short track program where we felt we were struggling a little bit. To run as well as we did last week in Gateway says a lot for the guys and what they've been doing, back home in Mooresville in the shop and everything we accomplish each weekend.
Well, you said back home in Mooresville, but you're actually from Des Moines, Iowa. Next week, we go to that area for the nationwide race. What do you think that's going to be like for you going home and racing in this series, one of the highest series out here?
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. One thing, growing up in Iowa, we never had a pro team. We never had an NFL team or an NBA team. So for the nationwide series to be coming there, it's probably one of the biggest sporting events Iowa's going to ever have. So the fact that I can be a part of it and being at a track that's 30 minutes from home, we're definitely looking forward to it and hopefully get some momentum coming out here and bring a good car there next weekend.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of guys down here. One of his team members, actually, that's behind this pit box. See if we can find him, because all the guys are giving him a hard time. Actually, he's right there. It's Ben Runge. He's from this area. He's a front tire carrier, the mechanic. He's from Crawfordsville, Indiana, which is about 40 miles from here. All the guys are giving him a hard time down here, Marty.
Hey, that's 7th last week on Gateway. That tied his career best. So as you saw, his last 3 races, he's going in the right direction. We talk about this being an opportunity. Seriously, Rusty, you're a car owner. Are the guys really watching this race tonight, the car owners in Cup?
Absolutely they are. They're sitting back in their haulers or hotels or restaurants tonight, and they're watching what's going on at O'Reilly Raceway Park right now, looking for that new talent. How are those guys going to run? And, they got a good eye on these guys and can basically cherry pick who they want and look at the talent. There's good ones out there, like Richard Childers is very good at that. Jack Roush is good at that. Hendrick is good at that. And they're going to be looking at these guys tonight. And these guys know it, Marty. They want to show off. They want to run good for the competitors. They want to run good for everybody. But remember, this is Indianapolis, man. This is a big, big track, whether it's little or big, and the whole world's watching.
Randy, what are those guys really looking for? Because you don't necessarily have to win.
Well, one of the things, there's only 4 Cup guys doing double duty. So as a driver, you're like, okay, all those guys are staying at the big track. Normally there's 18, 20 guys in a nationwide race that do double duty. So there's only 4 guys here. All these guys like, okay, we're going to do this. It's a short track. The team has been all pumped up all week long saying, guys, there's only 4 guys that are doing double duty this week. Let's go get everybody else.
All right, let's remind you that we will be on the air with the race tonight, starting with NASCAR Countdown at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. You know, we've had 4 different winners in the last 4 Nationwide Series races here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. And with that, I see actually sunshine over our shoulder, Doc, so we'll send it back to you, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that we're going to get cars on the track here shortly.
Well, we hope you do, Marty. Thank you very much. And certainly that's always one of the most exciting races of the year, the ORP race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Now, we talked about drivers being picked out of the NASCAR Nationwide Series to make it the Cup. And I guess you guys have been owners before, you two, and then have been owners. People do look for a driver, not necessarily someone that can win, but someone that can overcome adversity on the racetrack.
Well, Doc, you pretty much, from the Cup side, you're looking at the nationwide side, and you know about where everybody's car's at. And what you're looking for is a guy that's running a car consistently better than where you think that car finishes, and he's not wrecking, he's being smart, and he's learning how to race. And the talent pool is getting younger and younger and younger, so these guys are coming up. I mean, we just had a 19-year-old kid in here that's already won a Cup race, so it's important to be looking over there.
Yeah, a lot of the car owners in this garage are also fielding cars over there, and they've got young drivers in those cars, so they're really paying attention to them. They're watching how they're doing and how they're representing their teams and their sponsors and how they perform on the racetrack. track.
Yeah, and as a driver, there's no doubt that time that I was able to spend in what was the Busch Series, now the Nationwide Series, was the opportunity for these owners to look and see if I had the talent or the possibility of putting me in a Cup car. So it's a great series. I know there's always the debate, should the Cup drivers be in that? I always felt like that, hey, these guys should be there. That's where I want to learn. They're in the Cup Series for a reason. That's who I can learn against. It's the best. So it's a great series and a great opportunity, especially when, as Randy LaJoie said, there's only 4 of them over there. These guys have a great opportunity to go to Victory Lane tonight.
And it was like 9 years ago that Rick Hendrick picked a driver who had not been to Victory Lane at that point in time in the NASCAR Busch Series, but he picked him to come drive his Cup car along with a co-owner, Jeff Gordon, and now that driver is a 3-time Cup champion, and by the way, the defending winner of the Brickyard 400. We'll talk to Jimmy Johnson in a moment. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it is pole day for the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars. 46 cars standing by to see who's going to become the latest pole winner here in the NASCAR competition. There is the Brickyard Crossing Golf Course, a championship course. Most of the holes are outside the racetrack, but a few are in. Now, yesterday, it was a much nicer day here, so a couple of NASCAR champions got together to spend a little time on the golf course.
Let's hit a few golf balls. Hey, you look at the driving range kind of like the straightaway, just kind of wide open and full bore?
Full bore, I'm not sure it's as wide open as I would like it to be. We get all these trees out of the way, I'd be in good shape.
All right, let's see the swing.
Golf to me is about having fun with friends, not about a low score. Oh, it's airborne. Sweet. We're done.
You drive a race car 200 miles an hour, and then a round of golf is going to take somewhere between 3.5 and 4 hours. What are the parallels there? What do you get out of it?
I wish it'd be 5 or 6 hours. Thank God, right? I mean, you just get to turn the phone off, hang out with some friends. It helps me get rid of the tension from the race and all that kind of stuff. Show off.
Yeah.
You look like a professional here.
Yeah. Caddy's what I need to keep doing. Let's putt a few.
But long and straight doesn't work here? And great putting? Are you kidding me?
That works.
First putt. I'm glad the tape is rolling.
Hey, it's always nice to be lucky. That's
no
a nice
way.
stroke.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Are you the man to beat for the Brickyard 400?
I feel like I am. I really do feel like I am. We had such a dominant car last year. Granted, we're on a new tire and stuff, but I really feel like we're gonna be the guys.
Isn't it hard to believe that the guys who make a living by being in a hurry on Sunday can just relax and spend 3.5 hours or whatever on the golf course?
It is a good time to get away, and as Jimmy said, he uses it for just to get away, to have a good time with his friends. His golf game has improved a lot. I saw him down at Charlotte at the tournament. He played in the Pro-Am with Anthony Kim. Said he got a lot of good advice there, but it is a way to get away. He's a great guy, great interview. We had a lot more stuff. Obviously, don't have time to show all that. One question that I did ask Jimmy was about his maybe not getting the recognition and everything that he deserves, being a 3-time champion here. He had a great answer to that. He appreciates what he does get. He appreciates everything that people have afforded him here, and he is just a really, really solid champion for our sport. I'm a huge Jimmy Johnson fan.
Yeah,
if
me
you can't
too.
tell.
Me too. Did you lower his golf score any? Did you give him any tips?
He doesn't want any tips from me. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, you could give him tips. I don't understand how you play that game in 3.5 hours. It takes me 5 or 6 when I go. Those guys, and I said to Chad this morning, I'm accusing you of being some kind of a sandbagger, Chad. You seem to be taking easy on these guys, kind of playing around, and then when you're going to get in the chase, boom, you're going to get all on it. And he wouldn't answer me, just smiled. So I still think that they've got a little bit of something for these guys, and they may well be the guys to beat here.
Jimmy Johnson may not be atop the leaderboard when it comes to the golf course, but I think he obviously is the odds-on favorite maybe to win this race on Sunday. Let's visit with Jimmy. Vince? Dave, sorry.
That's okay, Doc. I'll take it from here. And DJ, when I mentioned to Jimmy that you had said his golf game had improved, Your response was?
There's only one way for it to go. It was really bad, and it's still pretty bad. And I thought that they were going to help me out in the editing room and remove that ugly backswing I have, but they removed most of it. So
take this to heart. You're no Charles Barkley, so much improved on the swing there. Let's talk racing a little bit. This weekend has been start and then stop. How was the start yesterday, your race car?
We were better in race trim. We did not participate in the test that took place up here. Our teammates did, and we'd spent a little bit of time just trying to get from the setup we had so much success with the last year's race and move towards where the tire is today and what the tire needs. So we made some good changes, maybe a change or two short, with the amount of time that we had. Went to our teammates and have looked at their notes and get a better understanding of what they're doing to help their car turn, and looking forward to it. I mean, qualifying's really about 4 good corners. You do have to show up excited and committed to the lap, but at the same time, it's really easy to overdrive this track, and it's rare that you hear a driver come in and say that he got all 4 turns. Even last year when I got the pole, I messed up turn 3. So if I can get 4 good corners, I know that we'll be up towards the front and have a good chance at this thing.
Now, you can make up any story you want to here because our cameras didn't catch the wall contact yesterday during practice. So what happened out there, Jimmy?
Well, I came off onto the front straightaway and was just looking around at my surroundings and familiar with the car. It was the first time, back in the car in a couple weeks. And as I looked in the mirror to see where the 5 car was, evidently I was closer to the wall than I anticipated. And I looked in the mirror and scrubbed the wall and I had to pull it off the wall. So it was my fault totally. And what's funny, I talked to Mark this morning, and Mark said that he was doing the same thing, checking his mirror, and almost ran on the wall too. But he saw the dust off of my car and realized how close he was to the wall. So it was just the first time on the track in a while.
A lot going on in those race cars for these guys. One of the things that Jimmy was involved in with his golf game with DJ a couple days ago was to announce that his golf tournament is coming up again this year. And in anticipation of that and other things that you do with the Jimmy Johnson Foundation, your steering wheel this weekend, this is a replica, but the steering wheel on the car will be auctioned off after you're done with it in the 400. So you need to put a good number up to really up the ante for the foundation, don't you?
Oh, I do. We're coming into a fun part of the year for the foundation, and our fundraisers are coming up, and a lot of neat things are taking place. So with all that, the steering wheel is in the race car, and I used it yesterday. And if you go to the Jimmy Johnson Foundation website, I think it's jimmyjohnsonfoundation.org, you can go on there and see all the great things that we're doing, and also have a shot at winning the steering wheel that I use.
All right, the 3-time champ, hoping to be a 3-time Brickyard winner after Sunday. Guys?
Dave, thank you very much. It has been feast or famine for Jimmy Johnson here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We mentioned he won from the pole a year ago, won back in 2006, but he has had DNFs in 3 of his last 5 trips here. Ouch. He doesn't want to see that, but obviously he could also become the first driver to ever win this race in back-to-back years in 2009. Now, we're getting some updates on NASCAR, and the updates are good. They're telling us that they're going to have the cars on the racetrack here at 2 o'clock to qualify the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars, and even earlier at ORP, they're going to have NASCAR Nationwide cars on the racetrack there for practice at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time. So stay tuned, folks. Race cars coming your way. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, track drying really starting to have an effect here. The track getting drier and drier, and NASCAR is saying that around 2 o'clock we hope to be able to maybe get qualifying underway here. And even earlier than that, 1:15, the Nationwide cars should be on the track at O'Reilly Raceway Park. While the track crews work to get the track dry, we showed you earlier that a lot of the crews themselves work out to get in shape to be able to do what they do over the wall. Vince.
Well, it's interesting to see how different people kill time during a rain delay, and Michael Waltrip certainly getting in a good workout here in his motor coach. You don't need a lot of room to get in a workout, and he is certainly, I can attest to the fact that for the last 23 minutes has been going very hard. With his trainer, Giovanna Leches, who is a 3-time world champion in aerobics. And what's the goal as you've been working with Michael since a little after the first of the year? What's the goal with him as a driver and the team as a crew to improve their performance?
I try to work for better resistance and tone and strength. We do a lot of exercise for Michael for the core. And for P crew, a lot of exercise for fast and quickly, and strength too, because they need strength when they do the job. Sorry for my English. And for now, my goal is for Michael. I want he lose another weights, not too much, and keep strong. Keep strength, because in 5 months he lost 25 pounds, but he now he's really strong. Respect in January.
What's been the biggest change you've seen in him? You mentioned the 25 pounds. How have you seen the strength change in the different workouts that you've worked with him?
Oh, because when he start with no too high weights, and now he can do a bench press with a lot of weights. And he start 5 minutes abs, and now he can do 25 minutes abs, 30 abs abs. And resistance is really good. I'm really happy. It's impressive.
Yeah, I can tell you guys, I can attest that he's been going hard for 25 minutes of exercise after exercise after exercise. And Michael joked earlier, he said he's a 1-pack now, and he's working his way up to a 6-pack. Michael, what's the biggest advantage you've felt in the race car since you've started the workouts?
Just fresh at the end of the race, you know, ready to go, run my fast laps at the end. That's the goal. I run marathons, and they gave me confidence. They gave me confidence that people might outrun me, but they would never outlast me. And the same way with Gio and the workout she puts me through. It's more rounded, though. This is the way a guy has to do it as he gets a little bit older. Just take care of your whole body. Before running, maybe abused my body more than I realized. And this is patching it back up, I hope.
Yeah, you can see the sweat pouring, guys, and we'll let him get his heart rate back up. And we're about 60 minutes away, we hope, from qualifying. And as Michael Waltrip continues his workout, I'll throw it back to Doc.
Thank you, Vince. That is impressive, and boy, how things have changed over the years. I remember early years, you would never see drivers attempt to work out, other than maybe lifting a beverage every now and then. But nowadays, diet, exercise, that's a main part of what you do.
Yeah, it really is. You know, it used to be it wasn't that important because you weren't really racing against anybody else that was working out and doing anything. So it's a huge advantage if you can do that. You know, we worked extremely hard on these cars. You guys as crew chiefs know how much you work and the change that you make to make a 1/10 of a second difference. Well, I found out in the late 90s, started working a little harder, that if I could be a 1/10 better at the end of a race, it would make a huge difference. So now you're racing against guys, you know, 15, maybe 20 of them that are really working hard at this.
Yeah, and it does make a huge difference. And anything that you do to stay in better shape, it makes you better at everything you do. Not just, I mean, you think driving a race car is not an athletic exercise. It is. I've driven these cars, and I can tell you, drivers don't really give it, when you talk to them, they don't tell you just how bad it is. It's very, very physical to drive these cars for long distances. The G-forces are incredible. Anything you can do in the gym is going to help that performance in anything they can do.
And the physical training in any sport, you know, you look at the Olympics, the times keep getting faster. They run faster, they jump higher, they jump further. That's all the human body. The same with the pit crews. We've got the same equipment we've been using, yet the pit stops keep getting faster and faster and faster, and that's people. And with driving the race car, these guys started to work out and got better and better and better. I can remember DJ, when he won his championship in '99, I used to see him in the MR workout trailer all the time. And when you're better, when you're in better physical condition, Michael said a key word about confidence. It gives you confidence, but it also allows you to have your focus because you're not fatigued at the end of the race.
Yeah. So physical fitness translates to mental fitness inside the race car, how sharp you are physically and mentally at the end of 500 miles. Now, let me explain what's going on with NASCAR. They're in a bit of a quandary here because they want to be able to get this track dry and get qualifying started by 2 o'clock because of the length of time it takes to qualify here. They want to have time after qualifying to let everyone change the cars over and get a happy hour final practice session, which they say is very important for these guys to get back on the racetrack in race trim for Sunday. Now, if they cannot get the track dry in time to get qualifying underway by 2 o'clock, what they may consider doing is not qualifying, but telling the guys, go ahead and switch the cars over now. We'll get the track dry, and we'll have a happy hour practice session. So stay tuned. They are trying to get it dry, but they've got to make some decisions here around 2 o'clock as to whether they go out to qualify or they go ahead and scrap qualifying and go out there with happy hour. And it is not a happy time right now for Michael Waltrip because he is still working out. Good for you, Michael. Trying to stay physically fit so he can be there at the end of the day. Back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the clouds are moving out, the sun getting ready to come out, and we are getting this racetrack dry. You know, one of the greatest traditions of the Brickyard 400 was kissing the bricks, but it actually didn't start here until 1996.
It started as a Dale Jarrett thing. I think he's the one that kind of brought it out. And you go out there on the front straightaway, you all bend down and kiss the bricks.
Yeah, they're gritty and there's rubber and dirt and sand and everything else, and you don't care one bit, man. You're just all over it.
It's not sweet tasting. It doesn't taste like candy, but it sure seems like it when you're kissing them. It's the best cold kiss you'll ever get.
Someone will get a chance to kiss these bricks on Sunday afternoon as we bring you live flag-to-flag coverage of the 16th running of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Brickyard 400 presented by Golden Corral. Our coverage beginning at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And DJ, take us back to 1996, and how did that all start? I mean, whose idea was it to go out there and lean over and give them a big smooch?
We were having a big time in Victory Lane, and you know, obviously an opportunity that I'd only dreamed about. And so all of a sudden, my crew chief Todd Parrott, he's the one that deserves the credit. These guys said Dale Jarrett started it, but I was the driver. Todd said, "Come on, we're going to go do something." Had no idea. I was still enjoying Victory Lane. I was having a big time there. There's no reason to leave, but he said, "We're going out here and do something special." So we went out to the bricks. All the guys turned their hats around backwards, and we got on our knees and kissed the bricks. Great tradition. I've even seen some of the Indy. I think I saw Sam Hornish do it whenever he won the Indy 500.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. You started something that's going to be part of this racetrack in the history from now on. So it is kind of cool that you started that.
Yeah. Hey, you didn't get your opportunity there.
Yeah,
that's the bad thing.
Well, you know, it is what it is. I still got the ring.
That's right.
Now, you missed out. You guys won it in 94 and 95, and the tradition hadn't started then. Now, you actually got to go back and do it again with Jeff Gordon's second win and then Bill Elliott's win. You know, what about the fact that you're able, I mean, everyone, the crews now talk about, you know, winning the race and then lining up and getting on those bricks and how special that is for an owner or crew chief.
It was really neat. You know, winning the inaugural, it wasn't done yet. Did it in '98? It brought it a little bit. It was a nice deal, but that day right there, because I knew how much that meant to Bill Elliott, and you could see we're happy. I went back in for a second one because they give you a big check when you're going to kiss those bricks too. So we were pretty happy. But that day, you know, again, when you win here, that was something that Bill and I had talked about when I brought him back. There were things he wanted to do, and winning this race was one of the things that he wanted to accomplish. So for us to be able to provide an opportunity for him to do that and then be out there kissing the bricks together, that was a special day.
So many special traditions here, and Andy, I know that we've given you an opportunity to go out there if you want to. It's a little damp right now and just dodge those trucks, but go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about it the other day doing our NASCAR Now show about doing that. We were standing out there doing a little piece on it, and it just wouldn't be the same without Dale and all the guys that were part of that. It wouldn't be the same to do it. That's the part of it that makes it so special, is you line up with all of your guys and do it. And I think it's one neat tradition.
Yeah, I saw a picture. There was one guy there that was all in your deal, that Mike Ford. He was with me in '96, Jack Man, and then again in '99, and when we won here in the championship. He also was a part of your deal with Bill Elliott. He was my crew chief when I finished second here. I think it's 2004. Denny Hamlin's crew chief. Opportunity for him. He might have been a person that's kissed the bricks as much as anybody.
In a
here.
different uniform, because he's got a darn good shot. Spoke to Mike this morning. They have been working on their bank track program and felt like they've gotten away from the flat track stuff, but he said it feels like they're back on it and their car's pretty good, so we might well see him kiss the bricks on Sunday.
And Mike Ford, he's got a personal relationship with those bricks, it sounds like to me. Anytime he's kissed.
The infamous Yard of Bricks here, one of the great places in all of sports. And who will it be on Sunday afternoon? Who will be the next to kneel down and smooch the bricks at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway? When we come back, we're going to take you out to ORP for live practice. The racetrack is definitely drying here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it has really come a long way in the last 20 minutes or so. You can see the good bit of the front straightaway is already dry, just up near the wall. A couple of damp areas up there, and the track drying continues. And NASCAR trying to decide, will they have enough time to get the cars to qualify? Here's a guy who definitely wants to qualify. Mad Max Pappas, his number 13 car. If we do not get qualifying in, he will not be in the race, and he would like to have a shot not only to be a driver who's raced in the Indy 500 twice, but a guy who's also raced in the NASCAR stock cars. Guys, what about the quandary that NASCAR has? They want to get qualifying in, but they also want to leave enough time if they can't get the cars qualified to be able to get them changed over for a final practice.
Well, it is a tough position for NASCAR because this is one of the more prestigious qualifying sessions of the year. It's not just a prestige to win this race, it's also a big deal to win the pole here. And I think they want to put some effort into trying to get that done, but it is important to get cars on the track for practice. It's just one of those tough situations and decisions that NASCAR is going to have to make.
Yeah, it is a tough decision. You want everybody to have the chance to be a part of this, but on the other side of it, this is about the race. And in light of what happened last year, I think it's most important that we look at getting some rubber back on the racetrack and making sure that these guys have a fair chance tomorrow.
And we really don't have a lot of cars this year, unfortunately, for the guys that would go home. But it is important, based on what happened last year, to make sure that we have a good race event this year. And I think that's what NASCAR has to be concerned about first.
Yeah.
Now, what NASCAR is telling us now is because the wind has picked up here and the track is drying so rapidly, they're going to hang in a little bit. They're going to hang in maybe as much as an hour to be able to try to get qualifying in here and maybe shorten that final practice, but be able to get both qualifying and final practice at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. While we wait for this track to dry, let's go over for some live race cars on the racetrack at O'Reilly Raceway Park. The NASCAR Nationwide car is getting set to go out. Let's go to Marty Reed.